Boom.
Boom.
Shakalaka.
Boom. Oh, you owe me a Coke, Jinx.
What? We didn't say shakalaka.
Yeah, we did.
We did?
Yeah, we both said shakalaka.
Shakalaka.
Boom, boom.
It's not like we have any kind of recorded
Open the door.
instance
Get
of
on
us
the
saying,
floor.
Yeah.
hey, welcome to
everyone.
Crippled System. Why are you slowly getting it?
Why?
You are absolutely out of frame, Brian.
Yeah. You can
You
hear
are-
me just fine. I'm remote this time. I'm calling in from home.
Well, you are home.
Yeah, exactly. It's perfect.
Hey, welcome to Crippled System episode 338. And it's updated right there. I did it before we started.
Well done.
Yeah. Nobody knows that we're starting to record, so the only thing that they would get is an email from Twitch saying that we're live.
Or the little pop-up in the corner on Twitch if they're currently watching somebody else on Twitch.
Or the,
Oh, really?
The one
Yeah,
guy
you
on
get a
the-
little thing that pops down
Yeah.
when someone you're following goes live. It's kind of up in the corner where the menus are.
At least one person on Discord was watching for it.
Oh. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Maybe I have that disabled because when I'm like watching other streamers and that, I don't see any of that drop up.
Well, I don't know how many people you follow and for how long you watch, but you would need to currently be on Twitch watching somebody when another person you follow goes live and happen to be... Because it's not like it makes like a loud ding or it's gigantic. It's just a little tab that pops down for like 2 seconds and then it goes back up. It is very non-obtrusive.
If I'm watching Twitch, it's more so in the background as I'm doing something else. So, so I probably haven't noticed it.
And I don't know, if you're full screen, it might not even show up. Like, you might have to, like, have it just window
yeah,
mode
'cause
so that you can see all the stuff.
Toast messages and full screen don't always work
Yeah.
together.
I don't watch things in full screen that much on Twitch, but
Half
Hey!
screen still does it.
episode 338. My name is Andy.
I'm Dan.
I'm Nathan.
I'm Brian.
Woo!
The end.
The end.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, we haven't done a podcast since last year.
We're terribly inconsistent.
Yeah.
That's how you build that's how you keep a fan base.
Well, consistency is always the best way to handle something.
I mean, in fairness, even if we did stuff every 2 weeks, we still would barely have done one this year by now.
You would have done multiple.
We would have been at least on time for 2 weeks. Just barely.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago would have been the first. And
Yeah.
so, this would have been at most our second podcast of the year, so being the first only means we're down by one.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
we kind of stopped early last year, though, too.
I don't know what you're talking about, and you can't prove anything.
Yeah.
Pretty sure that's provable.
That was all in past years, Brian.
Yeah, it's true.
Can't prove it if I smash Andy's computers. That's how the internet works, right?
Yeah.
Wait,
right.
no.
All the records and it's all on your computer.
It's
It's in the computer.
Yeah, it's in the computer.
Indeed.
Man, that's a movie with a not good sequel.
yeah.
Is everyone here going to... It's got moments.
Sure. A far less good sequel.
Correct.
Zootopia?
Yeah, Zootopia.
What if a movie gets a couple chuckles out of me, I still can't be that mad at it. And I've definitely got a few chuckles out of the second one.
Especially if you catch it for free on a streaming service.
Yeah.
It depends on how many chuckles per dollar did you get.
Yeah, there. Yeah, I mean,
Because once it's up to dollars per chuckle, you got an issue going on.
sure. That is
Like how I laughed once at Jack and Jill, and I saw that for free. So I guess technically I can't not like that movie.
I wouldn't
That
go that
seems
far.
unfair.
Yeah.
Well,
Because they slinked backdoor into one funny joke doesn't excuse that movie.
Yeah.
There was at least a couple funny jokes out of the Ridiculous Six.
If
though.
I get a few moments,
a couple
if I
moments.
get a few good laughs here and there throughout,
Ridiculous Six had one funny sequence and one shockingly good performance.
by
Vanilla Ice is the best
Oh, yes.
Samuel L. Clemens I've
Yes.
seen in cinema, which was so weird. You would not think Vanilla Ice would be the best Mark Twain, but he was a shockingly good Mark Twain.
Yeah.
Also, The Invention of Baseball was legitimately a funny sequence. Everything else was terrible. I know you liked the Fire Hose Diarrhea Donkey because that's right up your alley.
I did enjoy Fire Hose Diarrhea Donkey was
I like that
And-
Adam Sandler is actually like a good actor. He does good dramas now. Like he has actual talent, but he's like, but they'll give me a bunch of money to do something stupid. Sure.
If somebody paid me $10 million to go on vacation with you guys, I wouldn't say no. No one can blame Adam Sandler for doing that shit.
Yeah.
I can blame every single person who buys a ticket to the movies for enabling it, but I will never blame him for doing
Just
it.
cashing those checks.
Yeah, fuck you. If you say you wouldn't do it, you're a liar. You're a flat out liar.
So, a couple things have happened since last year.
Signed up for Adepticon since last year.
Yeah,
That's exciting.
Sign up currently live. There's still room in the Warmachine events. Who'd have thunk it?
Who would have thunk it?
But there's room in the Warmachine events. ATC, bitches.
For some reason, the Marvel Crisis Protocol stuff is all filled, most filled up. For
Did they actually get those listed?
Yeah, they were all opening day. They were all there.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going through a transition period with Warmachine. I mean, I'm sure once things come full solid, we'll get a lot more.
I mean, the nice
more
thing
interest
is
in
they're at the bottom. They can only improve.
Adepticon 2024's population of Warmachine game and of private to press games in general will be very interesting.
Yeah, or
And,
even
I mean,
just as the
Adepticon
year
was
goes
always
on.
low for Warmachine events anyways.
Yeah.
Kind of. I mean, it was.
It's an
but
expensive convention if you're just going to Warmachine.
Correct.
But I mean, I remember we still had quite a few people out of those. I mean, there's still.
In its heyday, yeah.
In
for
its
sure.
heyday, it did, but it was going lower every year anyways.
And I'd like to say that Warfare Weekend this year would be a good thing, but no one should go to War Machine Weekend ever again.
No,
Or
go to War Machine Weekend.
Warfare Weekend, because Warfare Weekend is run by asshats who enable terrible things. So, like, if you go to Warfare Weekend, you are a pro terrible things to people, and then whatever happens to you there is what you deserve.
Excuse me. That group of men bullied that woman into saying that group of men never bullied her. So obviously it didn't happen.
I apologize.
Didn't happen. And we checked all the footage.
checked the footage.
We checked the footage. There was no footage.
So there has to be another. But there's. I think Vegas has a big open. Like maybe next year's Vegas will be
LVO.
LVO will be.
I mean,
there has to be a few events that you looking at next year. We'll see how healthy War Machine is.
Yeah.
LVO.
I mean, we'll
Technically-
see, like, people trickle in. It's still January. We got 2 more months before Adepticon.
Yeah.
War Machine is coming out. Like, stores have their shipments of goods. People are going to get their hands on their goods. There's still time.
And that's the nice thing is
The game
because
is-
everyone's mad now because their launch has been such a shit fuck trickle that now that it's coming out in bulk, you're going to get actual excitement. People are actually going to be playing the game. People are going to actually have a chance to see if it's what they want to do, and now communities can actually
and
grow.
and there's actual product and not just people
The
trapped
product
at
is a
home.
big key to like make a game helpful.
It's not a bunch of the old guard playing with proxies from what they have around and complaining that it's not Mark III.
Yeah.
There is a new game that new people can buy now.
Yeah, which is-
The other thing, though, too, is the rules for Adepticon do state that you have to have everything fully painted for
Correct,
this.
which is why Adepticon has always been rough for War Machines.
Yeah.
well, especially this year.
Mark
Yeah.
Mark IV especially because Mark IV technically is. I mean,
It is a reason why the points value is that is what? Because Travis and I were actually talking about this, and we like people like playing bigger games, but it's just not feasible this year.
yeah.
Yeah, this year you can't hold whatever the attendance for War Machine is this year at Adepticon.
Yeah.
Is not
It's not fair.
It's
Yeah, it's not a fair barometer of what's coming on.
But luckily, there's 1,000 fucking popular war games going out right now, so people get to play all sorts of things anyway. So I'm playing 2 of the 3 games I own because I was able to get 2 of the 3 things painted. By painted, I mean someone else did it, but you know what? That's still fine. It's still painted.
It's still painted.
Yeah, the being painted isn't the part that was a nebulous. It was the you getting, but you did get them painted.
Yeah.
It's just you didn't paint them.
I had them. I handed them to someone else. They handed it back to me. They're painted. It was magic.
Yeah.
Completely valid.
No other transactions.
A story I've told about, managerial, stuff and, middle management is garbage and everything, but still it shows how it works is when my brother he was an enlisted member of the Army. And
We
then
are middle management.
Correct. And we're garbage. But still, the way we do our job, my brother was an enlisted person in the Army, and then he went to like the officer training thing, where instead of going to West Point, they'd take enlisted people and turn them into officers. And the first day they were there, the person who was going to train them, he had a gun, and they didn't call them gun, they're device or rifles or whatever fucking term they use in the military, because you can't just call something a gun. But he's like, how do you shoot this gun? And I think I've told this story before, and I apologize for those who've heard it, but I'm telling it again because it's topical. Fuck you. And so the first person's like, you do this, and you pull the trigger, and it's like, no, you're wrong. And the next person's like, oh, it's apparently a trick question. So he went through everything. Like, you check to make sure there's ammo, you check the safety, you make sure it's safe downstream. He's like, no, you're wrong. Here's how I fire the gun. And he said, private, come here. And he handed him the gun, and he said, private, fire this gun. So that is how I fire every gun I ever fire as an officer. That's the same thing. That's how you paint your models. And there ain't nothing wrong with that. You painted your models. The way you did is said, private, paint these models.
Yeah. And I always find people who are up and coming and don't realize their full value, so I don't have to pay as much as they're worth. I pay a fair number, but eventually they go, they learn to charge more.
Yeah, eventually you have to find somebody else
Yeah, they gotta
new.
move up. It's like yeah.
Everybody needs to have the abusive relationship
Yeah.
before they can find true love. So you have to be there,
Yeah.
right?
And I mean, they still walk away with a good pile of money. It's just their pile could have been bigger.
Like every Hallmark Channel movie, the lady has to leave some guy to get with the guy from the small town.
Yeah.
You're that guy. You're the Chad.
Yeah.
Chet.
Chet. I don't think there's
He's a Chet. Got the ascot.
no.
Mumsy, this guy's beneath us.
Dude, that is a completely different Chet than I'm thinking of. I'm
Yeah,
thinking
I know,
of
you're
Chet
thinking
from
of Chet
Weird
from Weird
Science.
Science.
Yeah.
No, this is more like who's the boyfriend in Transformers who gets murdered by Jason Voorhees because technically it's the same character.
Dude, what? The boyfriend of what in Transformers?
Megan Fox's boyfriend in the first of the Michael Bay Transformers movie is the same character played by the same actor that has the house that they're all staying at in the Friday the 13th.
It's actually the same. They gave him the same name.
They gave him the same name and it's the same actor.
I mean, I knew it was the same actor. I didn't realize it was the same name.
It's the same character. So canonically, Jason Voorhees is running around with Optimus Prime in the same universe.
I mean, come on, he would be running around with Megan.
Yeah, that's a valid point.
But
whoever that guy is, somebody's
I know
got to be
the
that
actor,
guy.
but he's not.
Actually, no, he would be running around with Starscream.
Yeah. Starscream would be trying to get into Jason's good
I'm thinking
graces.
Scream Queen. Is that Chad in Scream Queens?
Might be a Chad. I mean, they're always a Chad.
There's always an amazing guy. In
What the
that
fuck is his name? That guy's character.
guy
It's got to be. It's like a Chester or a Charmander.
Season 1 of Scream Queens is amazing.
Charmander?
We're really going off tangent here.
I just find it. I wonder how many movies have those type of characters that cross over though, because I know that Piranha crosses over with Jaws
Yeah.
because oh god, what? It's not Paul Newman. What's the other old guy with the white hair?
You can't think of his name.
I can't think
He
of his
was
name.
in a lot of movies, Andy.
I know he's in Mr. Holland's Opus.
Some Steven Spielberg movies he was
Still
in.
a lot of Steven Spielberg
It's
films.
me, Richard Dreyfuss.
Richard Dreyfuss. Jesus, why? Why couldn't I not think
It
of him?
was Trent.
That makes sense.
It's spam, Andy.
Oh,
Trent is basically a Chet.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. That is 100% a true statement.
I'm not in mod mode on here.
I thought you saw Scream
That's
Queens.
fine.
Yeah, I've seen Scream Queens.
What's that guy's fucking name from season
I don't
1?
remember, but man, speaking of things that have bad sequels, season 2 of Scream Queens is such a precipitous drop from the first one.
Oh, yeah, but season 1 is just beautiful.
Oh, season 1 of Scream Queens is absolutely wonderful.
Never watched.
Fully
Glenn
recommend
Powell,
season 1.
yeah, it's just a Chad.
Of course he's a Chad.
He's a Chad. He's even got a cool song, I think, at some point in there. Yeah, Chad's amazing.
Again, a Chad, a Trent, a Chester.
What was our starting point of this?
You being a terrible person.
Oh, yeah, sure.
No, you taking advantage of up-and-coming artists who don't know their value.
I mean, $20 an hour is still pretty
Yeah, it's still good. That's more than fair. Because there's people that charge like $10 per mini. And it's like, they're spending hours on a mini.
No, I can't. I see. Yeah.
Nobody undervalues their work like hobbyist painters who are willing to paint for other people in their gaming group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Andy.
What did I want to? What do you mean?
I'm just thinking about how much I'm sure you didn't charge for that giant tank you assembled for whoever you assembled that tank for. You should have charged $1,000 for the amount of labor you put into that fucking tank.
It was-
and you
it was a lot
charged
of-
not that much money, I'm sure.
It was not that much, but at the same time, I got the exposure.
Yeah. You are that guy.
Was that your 11th movie, Brian?
No, Dan, you know this. I assembled somebody's Baneblade,
I'm sorry.
and then I magnetized it so you could use all
Oh,
8
that one,
versions
yes.
of the Baneblade.
I did see that one. I was
Yeah.
afraid to ask how much you would charge if you did that a second time.
Not enough. And even if he charges more, he'll still charge not enough.
I know.
There's
Andy I learned my lesson. I'll charge 2% more next time.
and then next time
As
I will.
a friend, I couldn't actually ask you to do that because I know how painful that kid is.
It's not so bad now because it was like I said, it was
You're supposed to say it's fucking terrible. I won't do it for less than.
I'll tell you what, I hate Brian's spiders more than I hated the Baneblade.
I gave him some stuff to assemble. He's like, "Oh, I'll get it done in a couple days." And I'm like, I had assembled one of the things, and I knew it was just a complete. Imagine it's a spider model. And I think each spider's in 75,000 parts. Yeah. Maybe only 70,000 parts. But
each segment of each leg is separate?
Every segment, there is an absurd amount. It is comical. And he didn't start till last night, and then I got a message in the middle of the night, like, yeah, this isn't going to happen. And I was like, and I knew when I gave it to him at some point he was going to actually, like, because you hand him something to do, he's like, okay, whatever. Then he looks at it, and then you're like, holy fuck. Like, it was just that actual examination that I knew was coming.
Yeah, so
that was a gift to myself.
Yeah, that you waited like 2 months for.
Well, I knew it would be worth it. At some point, you'd look at them.
Yeah, I definitely looked at them. So yeah, out of the 8 legs that are on there are 2 legs that actually fit into sockets.
Oh, no.
Nathan, and then all the rest are ball and socket joints, and they're not
Great
very
for
deep.
Posability.
They're great.
You can pose any way you want.
I put one of them. I have one of it's over there.
Are they
somewhere.
monopose ball and socket?
Well, if it's a ball and socket, then
But it's just like
You would be surprised what people can be creative about.
It's just like a small little divot. So
Sure.
it's got no like full on connection.
It
in
gives
there.
you the illusion there'll be connections, but there's not a connection.
Correct.
It's the illusion.
it's
of
the
connection.
worst of both worlds.
Yeah, and they have no instructions.
Well, because use your imagination.
Who
You
made
can do
those?
whatever you
Remember?
want. The devil.
It is War Games Atlantic, I think.
Oh yeah, those models are not great.
No, but they look nice when they're put together. If you know how to put them together, the
And
best
they were
part
really
about
cheap.
it, yeah.
They are very cheap.
The one thing I found out about it too, which is kind of the great part, is somebody made a YouTube video of how to assemble them, which I had to watch, and it was linked off the War Games Atlantic site.
That's how many bits there are in. Sure. And imagine every connection point not really connecting to the other part of it.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, it's not that. It's just that's how many parts are, and no piece goes well with the other piece. It needs to go next to.
Yeah,
Correct.
get that in a day.
Yeah. But so the YouTube video that the guy said, I have to make this because this kit is horrible. I
This is
I
linked on
need
their
to
website.
help.
Disparages how terrible the kid is, and they didn't watch it. They're like, somebody did a how to build. Link it.
I think they knew what the video was, but he doesn't really go into it that bad. But
Don't worry, you have not missed anything.
yeah, I haven't missed much at all. But anyway, so the YouTube video that's going there of explaining how to assemble these also has very sad, dramatic music happening in the background.
like the Sarah McLachlan not Salvation Army, the Humane Society.
Kind of just like a slow piano going on in the background.
Every
of just
12 hours, somebody has to assemble one of these
It's
minis.
kind of something like that, yeah. No audio at all, other
So
than
here's the
just
deal,
the
Andy. You
music.
have to build these spiders or a dog dies.
Sorry,
There's a few
Rover.
dogs that died. Yeah, sorry, a couple of them behind the shed right now. No, but yeah, the Baneblade not so bad as compared to the spiders. At least, well, that was the issue with the Baneblade then too. Is the Baneblade had no numbers attached to the sprues. All they had was just random pictures.
Yep, that kid is old enough that it's not numbered.
Yeah. So it just says, grab the thing that looks like a hatch and put it on. And I'm like, there's like 4 hatches here. I'm like, man, just grabbed it.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
The problem with that also is in the turret's in like 3 different positions. If you're gonna,
Nope.
is it all in the same spot?
Yeah.
Even with the firing decks?
Yeah. I was able to get it. I mean, I got it working really well. I was very proud of the many 30 hours I put into
That
that
person
thing.
got their $20 worth.
He paid me. He gave me a little tip at the end. I originally said I was going to do it for a pack of Marvel stuff, which was a little bit more expensive Marvel stuff. It was at least a full Asgardian set.
I don't
but
know
that's
what
only
those cost.
but that was only
Well,
60 bucks.
instead of
Right,
two,
which means you made $2 an hour.
Yeah, I did.
$2 an hour. Eddie.
I did, and I had to buy some more magnets for it too. But it was a learning experience, and I know definitely if I
If
I
he
have to
learned
do
his
it again,
lesson and doubles his cost, you can still get this for $120. Worth it.
that's probably what I was going to go for,
Yeah.
or something like that.
to have
Which means you're
one-
jumping to $4 an
Well,
hour.
I saw the Blade Beamer thing. There's like 1,000 magnetized things because those kits can use. Because that's, I actually, yeah. I mean, I want to be able to put a mile down and say what it's at. The fact that you have to like put that. That's like the. Even if Warmachine was to tempt me, and I don't see how it could, but I never say I'm playing it. But I mean, I just want to put down a model, and that's the model. I don't want to have to put on this arm or this thing.
Yeah.
No, none of that bullshit. I'm not.
That's
that
kinda-
is a bridge too far for me in a game now.
That's how Mark IV is a little bit.
Yeah,
for
that's what
the-
I mean.
Yeah,
That's-
that's what
they
he's
come
saying,
with
and that's
that.
why
Oh,
even
yeah.
if he was willing to play War Machine in general, the fact that it's going WYSIWYG, which, so the arms, like, you can magnetize and stuff, but, like, nobody is going to give a shit about Cortexes. No one's going to call you on heads. Definitely not at a casual night. And I think any event, the tournament organizers are going to say, shut up, as long as they have it in their list. Because you can't tell. Like, unless you have a telescope to see what your opponent's Warjack's face is, you're
Yeah.
not going to even tell.
Well, I mean, the unfortunate truth is going to be used as, oh, you're causing other problems? Your list looks illegal. You used the wrong head.
As long as, like, the TOs are using it as
my
an
God.
excuse,
Yeah.
kind of like they use, like, technically it's illegal to have air fresheners hanging from your rearview mirrors in your car because you can't obstruct your view. And so cops will use it as an excuse to pull people over. And so if TOs are using it for that, to me, the worst is that, like, I'm losing a game and I'm a shithead, so I'm going to call my opponent out for having the wrong head, so they're DQ'd, so I get the win.
Luckily, wargaming groups don't have assholes
Correct.
like that.
Well, that's why I'm saying,
And that's
like,
why I said also
any event I ever run,
I need to go update the ATC player
Yeah.
packet to fix that.
yeah, and just
loophole.
say, Cortexes are what is declared in your list. Like, well, WYSIWYG arms, but Jesus Christ, those heads. Because I don't even know which head is which. Because the car, like, War Machine, it might be a little easier. In Warcaster, you have these tiny little pictures of monochrome line drawings of a head. 3 of the 4 of them look identical. You could pay me $1,000 to get those 4 heads picked correctly, and I'm not sure I could do it.
I could do it for the faction that I own. Like for Kador, when I magnetized the original that chassis, I could tell you which head was
But
which.
you're not going to look
for
across
there.
the table at an Orgoth head and go, that's the wrong head.
I mean, I couldn't tell you. Well, some of the Crix heads, maybe, but
Do Crixjacks have heads?
yeah, the Helljacks do.
Do they?
Yeah,
All right.
Yeah.
but I couldn't tell. All the Crab Crixjacks, I couldn't tell you what heads those were supposed to be. They all looked the fucking
I can see
same.
Travis. That head's wrong over
What's
there.
funny is I could tell the difference between a Leviathan and a Harrower head from previously. So I don't know if they carried them over, but, like, I do remember the different heads from then.
Well,
Yeah.
sometimes heads are so. Like a head in a certain
wouldn't
jack
care.
might just be a weird, unique thing that a certain
Yeah.
head sticks out. I mean, that I could see.
Correct.
The only time it really would maybe even come up is like, oh, this one has tusks.
Yeah.
Yeah, get some binoculars.
And the very nerdy way I could tell is that the see, and now I said I could tell them apart, and I could tell them apart, but now I would, which is which. Either the Leviathan or their Harrower, their head looked exactly like a Gargant head from Dark Crystal. They have the exact same head.
Gargant. Oh, the little
crab monsters.
the little
The
crabby guys.
Muppet.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Muppets in that.
And those ones aren't Muppets. Those are people in suits.
I never watched that crap. I don't know.
You never watched what?
It looked dumb. Even as a child, I thought
Crystal?
it looked stupid.
What was wrong with you?
I saw that as a child. I was like, no.
You should have came with us. It was fucking awesome. Labyrinth is later on this month too.
I don't.
We
really,
saw it like 4 or 5 years
Yeah,
ago.
we saw it its previous anniversary. We went and
Yeah.
saw.
the seeing old movies in the theater is lost on me. Even movies I love, I'm like, I can just watch it in my room.
Yeah, that's fair.
If I'm in a theater, all there are opportunities for me to be annoyed. There's other. It's just there's too
It's a
many-
high bar. Is
Not-
the pain of theater worth what this is going to give me?
Going
for me?
if I was in a theater alone, maybe like a friend or two, I could possibly do a little movie.
Well,
But if
and there's a few movies where it's like, yes, I would like to see this on a 70-foot screen again.
And
But-
the blessing and the curse of seeing a movie in the theater is that there's an audience. And depending on the audience, that's either enhancing the movie with their reactions or it's ruining the movie because they won't shut the fuck up.
And that's why I liked when I used to do it, but when I could stay up past 8 p.m. is midnight showings were good because usually you had a very dedicated audience that was in for the movie, even if it was
And
a
the
crappy-
theater experience.
Yeah, the theater experience with a good audience can be good. And midnight showings, people laughed when you were laughing or crying. I mean, everything was in sync, and that's what you
Yeah,
want.
you don't get a midnight showing with someone on their phone the entire time.
Correct.
Right.
People are there for a reason. And
God, I forgot about midnight showings.
Yeah.
I've seen many amazing midnight showings.
Yeah, we've
Snakes
we've
on a plane.
stayed-
Yeah.
Did we see that at midnight? No, I thought that was like a Thursday thing.
It was
Thursday
a
night
it was
thing.
a late. I
maybe
definitely
it was
saw it the night it came out. And that wasn't the only movie I saw in the theater where I was okay with sound from the theater because that was sort of the.
And
intent.
did you guys see it at the old theater off of High Point or High Crossing by the Easttown Mall?
No,
Because that's where I went and saw it opening night, and that's where there was a guy dressed as the plane, which is one of my favorite things about that, is that a guy in a plane costume. Like, of all the things to do to go to Snakes on a Plane, this dude cosplayed as the plane. Love it.
Yeah.
we saw it at I think it was at Point
It's there.
at the Ultra screen.
The theater that you mentioned that's no longer there. It's the only time I was in a theater where it was actually like a stampede happened. It was amazing. I was like, oh, this is actually terrifying.
Hooray!
My gosh.
I saw opening night of some Harry Potter movie because my first wife was huge into Harry Potter, and we didn't know all of the stuff we know about J.K. Rowling at the time. But we went and saw that, and the great thing about that one was an opening night, and of course the crowd's super rowdy. This is pre-movie. It's not even the trailers yet. Like this is everybody's in the theater waiting for the advertisements to start.
Yeah.
So they're rowdy as fuck because it's all like teenage girls because it's a Harry Potter movie. And so they were like screaming and chanting, and they got a chant going where half the teenage girls were saying Harry Potter and half the teenage girls were saying Draco Malfoy, and they were doing that. So then this like 30-something-year-old guy just stands up and just screams, "Shut the fuck up," to the entire audience. So then 2 or 3 minutes later, somebody comes in and kicks him out, right?
Yeah.
Which, fine, that's great. 2 or 3 minutes later, his girlfriend stands up and slinks out of it. And it was magical because for those 2 or 3 minutes, she was debating staying to watch the movie. And then she's like, fuck, I can't.
People didn't cheer when he got kicked out.
They cheered when he got kicked out. So he gets kicked out, but then, there's a few minutes where his girlfriend is like, I really want to see this movie. And she sat there and
I
thought
will
about
say-
it. And then she finally got up and left also.
When you
Poor
see
girl.
a midnight showing, the crowd will be rowdier beforehand. But again, when it starts, they know their place as
Yeah.
far as like they
Yeah.
get in sync.
Because every single one of them wants to see that movie. None of them is just somebody who's bored watching it and they're going to be on their phone.
And they're just, and the getting this beforehand is just honest to God, like enjoyment. And maybe the guy's like, why are people happy?
yeah.
My favorite interaction from a movie is I don't know if Brian was with me at the time, but we went to go see The Rock, and
In what?
just a theater.
Right, but what movie was he in?
No, it wasn't The Rock. It was
He was the island.
It was The Rock,
He wasn't
Right.
on the island.
Yeah, but
as in not
in a lot
Dwayne
of
Johnson,
movies.
not Dwayne
yeah,
Johnson.
no, he's not. At the time, he was just The Rock because he wasn't Dwayne Johnson.
No, this was actually before The Rock.
So he was
The Rock.
What was
This
his name?
is The
Was he
Rock before The Rock.
He was Rocky Johnson.
Yeah, he was Rocky Johnson.
No, it was
Because it was
Rocky
before he was The
Maivia.
Rock. Rocky
Rocky
Maivia.
Maivia,
That's what
yeah,
it was.
Yeah, Rocky Johnson is his father. Come on.
So okay, so
I
you went and
apologize.
saw Rocky Maivia
yeah.
in.
But anyway, so at the very beginning of the film, there was a funeral that was happening where they had a 21 gun salute for the soldier and such. But the theater that we were in had no audio through that whole part, so there was just no sound at all. Just people. It was all raining and that, and they go up for the 21 gun salute, and as they fired, someone just yelled out, "Bang!"
God bless that person.
Yeah, it's
They're
super
helping.
loud. And it was great.
Yeah.
That was like one of the best.
Yeah, there's just moments in time where someone is the hero you need.
I had kind of the reverse happen as far as the audio thing. When I went and saw opening night, Two Towers, and I went and saw it in my wife at the time and I were visiting her family down in Houston. And so we went and we saw it at some AMC theater there, and like it's coming to the end of the movie, and like Frodo and Sam and Gollum are like there, and you can see Mordor in the distance, and the thunder's going, and like holy shit, this theater speaker system is amazing because this thunder is loud as fuck. And it's like so immersive, and they're like, wow, they got to crank, the Dolby's really kicking in, this thunder. And then the movie ends and the credits start going, and the thunder's still really fucking loud. It turns out halfway through that movie, we got hit with a tropical storm that was borderline hurricane. And that's what we were hearing for like the last 15, 20 minutes of that movie, was the city being destroyed around us.
Nice.
Yeah, it was really immersive. Category 5 Mordor.
Our listener had mentioned about when he sent Prince of Persia, he on a random day he was the only one in the theater, and it's because I think every theater only had one person see that movie in general.
Yeah.
I saw that in the theaters too, so I can't say much about that. But I remember
Such a good game, or at least a Sands of Time.
Sands of Time is a great game, and it is one of the most perfect length games in so much as, for me personally, when I played through it, you know, you as you're playing a game, things get subconscious. At first, you're like, I want to jump. I need to hit X. I hit X. Now I jumped. And eventually, it just happens. Your brain is jumping. You're hitting X as much as in real life, you know, you'd react to something. And I got to that point with every aspect of that game exactly at the final boss. It's like, I have fully, this game is part of my circulatory system, and now it's over.
Yeah. I'm surprised that has been remade.
Well, every sequel was terrible.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the first one's still good, though.
Yeah.
So there's a couple things that happened since the first of the year.
First year we had Adepticon sign up. By the way, people were complaining like, "Oh my god, it's such a terrible battery." And like it was like a half an hour of inconvenience. It's like, you motherfuckers haven't tried to sign up for Gen Con, where it's like a day and a half of hell. Like,
yeah,
you're like 30 minutes of inconvenience,
and you need to be in the lottery to get into the lottery to get a hotel room. Yeah.
It's like back in my day, that's when the internet actually really sucked. You know,
and the only thing that I could maybe say for, I don't know, can you like call up your host for your website and say, just for today, I need 10 times capacity?
Well, so
is that a thing you can do?
You can. The
so
problem.
The one thing I blame is that they need to do that.
Well, the C event actually had a global outage at 1 p.m. That was the actual problem.
Perfect timing.
Yeah.
So then you double can't blame them. But if they weren't doing
I stopped being mad once I found out that their host had a global issue.
But
it wasn't just they didn't pay the bill or plan well enough.
But yeah, it was 30 minutes. People.
Most events that you do like that are supposed to be conveyed to your ISP or whoever's doing the hosting, so they can better prepare it.
Also, halfway through that line, I realized that I just sell everything in the bag anyways, and then that made that. Then I'm like, I'm just dropping down, like stopping to try and even get a regular swag bag, and just I will take that $70 and make my own swag bag in the vendor hall with stuff I actually care about.
Yeah. Sure.
I traded my what was it? What did I get from there that I gave you for a cheeseburger?
Song of Ice and Fire?
Song of Ice and Fire, I think, for a cheeseburger.
I got another one. I need a cheeseburger. You want another Song of Ice and Fire?
I don't need another one.
Well, maybe Jim needs it if he was going to pick up.
Yeah, I sold mine to someone for lunch, too.
You owe me a soda, motherfucker.
Fuck! I have a reminder about that, too. And I was at a Quick Trip on the way down. I should have just grabbed it.
But we might as well get into, speaking of gaming things that have happened in the last week.
A lot of new trailers came out.
A lot of new trailers came out.
Yeah.
I feel you guys have a topic on mine. I feel
Yeah.
I feel like everyone's trying to lead towards something. I don't know. I wasn't online last week. Did I miss something?
What did you? What did you
All I heard
guys
is
do?
that everybody won.
Earlier.
Everyone won.
Everybody wins.
Yeah, we're
That's
winners.
the great news that happened. I don't know if you watched the video I posted about that, but there's an insidious, beyond the hey, we all won, there's an insidiousness to that, because saying that the people complaining won implies that it's over.
Yeah.
Sure. I think what happened was Wizards of the Coast walked outside of their house the other day, and they had a gun in hand, and they fell and they tripped, and they shot their own head out. They shot the brains out.
And while they tripped, they stepped on 87,000 rakes on the way down.
Yeah.
Just whap, 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 whap,
It's
and then
like
shot themselves
the
in the head.
How does someone just fuck up that hardcore out of the blue when no one asked them to fuck?
Such an unforced error. Such an unforced fucking error.
So for the folks that are out there that don't know about this, who've been living under a rock, that don't touch D&D.
Oh, yeah, some people might not roleplay. So.
Yeah, some people don't roleplay that much. We talk about it a little bit here and there, but we're a variety cast.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Wizards of the Coast released, sent to different companies, different people,
Third-party
let's
people.
rewind a bit.
Yeah, let's set some groundwork.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying is that
We need to rewind
Beyond
further.
that, we need to go way back in time and talk about the first OGL. Like, this is
Okay.
important. So,
OGL,
Dungeons and Dragons has something called the OGL, the Open Gaming License, which is a thing that says, please make content for this. Like, don't, you know, like,
You
we
have
have our
permission.
intellectual
Yeah.
property, but if you want to do homebrews and release them, if you want to make a book, if you want to make a magazine, if you want to have on your podcast where you come up with ideas,
So actually, we need to go even further back.
sure.
TSR was the original people who owned D&D for what, first and second
Yes.
edition.
third as well.
I don't think
No, they got bought out by WotC.
They were
before
out
that.
there. It was
Yeah.
third was WotC.
During-
Third was WotC?
Yeah.
In any case,
Yeah.
originally TSR existed.
During
Actually, wait, we have to go back far. That first. Sorry.
So there was the Big Bang, or God, whichever way. Something happened,
I hate
and
that
then
show.
So TSR during second edition decided that they wanted to try and get rid of anyone else coming up with role-playing games. Naturally, this failed.
yeah,
They tried a lot of things for second edition.
And then they got bought by people who were competent for a while.
yeah. And so they made the open gaming license that says you guys can make your own content, like, because the game's about creativity, and people can do this anyway. You know, you buy the red box for D&D, you go home, you're playing with your friends, it's junior high or high school, you're gonna make up shit. You're gonna invent a new character that thinks cool for you, a new character type, you're gonna invent a new monster, you're gonna do this stuff.
And then I'm going to want that as
Yeah,
well.
and then you're going to want that as well, and you're going to share it, and you're going to come up with neat stuff. And the OGL, in very broad strokes, was an agreement with the company that says, you know, don't go too psychotic and encroach on our intellectual property, and in return...
And don't be a complete chug
Yeah,
of it.
and in return, do this shit. And if you come up with the stuff and you're going to charge $5, we don't care. And if you do this, we don't care.
If you're
Like,
selling
some of the
stuff for D&D, you're
People
still
are
selling
buying
stuff for
D&D.
people.
Yeah.
People are buying D&D.
Yeah, it would be like the equivalent of, like, Toyota was like, if you want to make fancy hubcaps for Corollas, we're okay with it because people have to buy a Corolla to buy your fancy hubcaps.
Just
And
say made for a
win-win.
Toyota Corolla,
Yeah.
not made by Toyota.
Yeah. So it's this win-win thing that is the reason that D&D is the center of role-playing games. Like, it's a huge
Right now,
part of
yep.
it is that because of this, you know that you can make stuff for this game, which means this game can be the core for infinite intellectual property
Many
can be built
companies
onto
make-
this fucking thing. So many companies. Pathfinder is OGL. Like, if you play Pathfinder, you're paying something that
I mean, hell,
exists.
Privateer Press exists only because of this.
Yeah, the Iron Kingdoms was OGL, right?
Yeah.
That's how this works. And it's win-win because these people are buying stuff, even the more recent, like the Iron Kingdoms stuff that's 5th edition that they kickstarted. It's win-win because Privateer Press gets to sell their shit, and you're still going to go out and buy the base player manual and GM manual of Dungeons & Dragons to run it. It's win-fucking-win. And then CEOs happened. So they took that gaming license, and the thing that happened a week ago actually technically didn't happen because they were doing it behind closed fucking doors because they were going to surprise people with it. But they were making a new version that instead of all that, it said anything you make, we own and can use as much as we want to. Also, you have to report all the money you ever make. If you make too much money, we get a cut of it. Also, we can change this anytime we feel like because fuck you. The original OGL was 600 words. The new one was 6,000 words.
And most egregiously, in my opinion, by the way, this also applies to everything previous.
It's retroactive. We are null and voting the original OGL. All this shit is the case. We cut 25. We get 25% of the money you make over a certain amount. We own anything you ever make, and we can use it in perpetuity. Just fucking monstrous. And they didn't even come out with it. This was all leaked because they sent it in secret to creators to sign NDAs and contracts agreeing to abide by this rule.
To agree to it, and also, well, yeah, I guess part of the rollback is when they were saying that they that they were looking for feedback.
correct, the
for
most
They
their
never
draft.
said they were looking for feedback.
Well,
Ever.
Like I said, the most charitable
Yeah.
interpretation possible is this is contract negotiations. And sure, however, there's such a big power imbalance that it's not a negotiation at
And
this
there
point.
were even rumors back last year about OGL being modified, but none of the details came out like a week ago.
Yeah.
Like, people knew something was going to happen.
Because they were doing this at the same time as doing one D&D, which was the actual feedback seeking from players about the actual game changing.
Correct.
Right? So they were doing feedback on that as a smokescreen. Meanwhile, the whole time they're changing how the OGL is going to function, sending that in secret with contracts and non-disclosure agreements to the big creators and Kickstarter and stuff like that so that they can get this done. The plan was to drop it on the 9th and have it binding by the 13th. But it leaked the week before and the internet exploded.
Yeah.
Because D&D 4th edition did not use the OGL, and almost no one made stuff because I think it was called the GSL.
Yep.
Was such a terrible contract, and people were like, I'm not going to make stuff for this game. This is not a good deal. So no one made 4th Ed content, and 4th Ed died quick and fast for lots of reasons. But that was when you have no third-party support is such an important element of D&D because even for
because
I use
they
so
can't
much
write
stuff
books
from other people.
Yeah.
I use so much Kobold Press stuff and other things I'm happy with, and when it's just one company, you just
Fucking like one-shot adventures,
What-
you know, like not even like making like not even just like not like Pathfinder's a whole fucking game system, right? But that's a big thing. You know, Private Press with the Iron Kingdoms, that's a big thing.
lot of
If I
people
just
do
want to
that stuff.
do a Kickstarter for a couple $100 to release a PDF of a one-off adventure because I have a neat idea in my head, nope, fuck you. They own that.
Yeah, it's yeah.
I mean, and WotC is like the George Lucas for this, where they can come up with really good broad stroke ideas, and then they fuck up every execution.
Yeah. Well, and then so this exploded. People got furious because, hey, gee, surprise! You trained your entire player base to band together as underdogs against a larger, stronger evil. It's almost like they've been waiting for this day. So the player base explodes. People are canceling their D&D Beyond subscriptions, like all the stuff. So D&D releases a fucking press release that's just like, oh, well, hooray, we're so happy for your feedback. It's win-win because we learned to change it. We're so sorry that's the way you read it. A, these were just drafts, liars. They were fucking contracts you sent to people. B, oh, we never thought that you'd read the part where we said that we own everything you ever make to mean that we'd own everything you ever make. That's an honest mistake. Fuck you. You know, like that you didn't trip and fall and put that wording into your contract. It was fucking there. And they're like, oh, we just wanted to make sure people wouldn't abuse our stuff for NFTs. You're Hasbro, you're selling Power Rangers NFTs right fucking now. Like, eat an ass. That entire press release was such horse shit. And every word, even the stuff they said in the press release, like, we've heard you, we'll change this part. Bullshit. We'll wait until you actually release the OGL to A, to see if it's changed, and B, to see if there's still a sentence that says we can change all of this anytime we want to.
Yeah.
Because if that second sentence still exists, the entire other 6,000 words is irrelevant. You need a sentence that says everything ever made is not being touched, and this will never be touched.
Yeah, it has to be in there. I mean, and I love, and the thing is, but it is they definitely are walking it back, and I think they realize that their brain isn't strong enough to not do it.
Yeah.
They know what happened with 4E. And the fact that all these other companies like, hey, we're going to band together with our own open, their own version of an OGL. I forget what
Orc.
Orc. So
Yeah,
We
Paizo
can
that
have a
did that, right?
multi-eyed beam shooter in any fucking game. You know, we can live without beholders. We can live without Strahd.
I'll be honest, I will miss Illithids, but I'm willing to sacrifice them.
I mean, you can have them. They just have to be called Millithids.
What the hell's an illithid?
Mind Flayer.
Oh,
they are beautiful.
Yeah, you can have those anywhere. Like that's the thing is like at the end of the day, WotC has nothing that we can't get from somebody else. It's just a matter of
the Forgotten Realms.
yeah, we can have the I don't remember
Just think,
it lands.
no more Drits.
Yeah, no more. Oh no, I can't
He
have.
hasn't done much in a while.
Yeah, he hasn't done much more. But they have nothing. They have nothing, and all they had was the apathy of people to not move to something else. And it's not that hard to invest $40 in a new game system and just take all your minis and live with it.
Well,
I mean,
and
there are
you can file the serial numbers off and move
At
on.
the end of the day, though, there's still a lot of people who just buy the books from stores who don't care at all about third party. I've seen plenty of people who just buy D&D products. They try to keep their spending somewhat under control, so they don't care at all about third party. So no matter what, there's some percentage that lives are not going to change.
Yeah. Yep.
But it's hard. I'm so sick of corporations being just so blatantly evil, and I think we're getting a slight buildup of that.
Yeah.
Too slowly. I want more corporations to be crushed, but we're not quite there yet. But we're moving in that direction.
Yep.
But I think they would lose a ton of fucking ads.
Well, and I would be more willing to give them a more charitable read if they had produced a single D&D content in the last 18 months that wasn't shit.
Yeah, unfortunately, some of the I didn't read through all the Dragonlance stuff closely. I only
I have my own reasons for hating Dragonlance, but even some of the other ones, they're just so...
Well, I love Spelljammer, and their Spelljammer books are terrible. It's really like I still might try to find some way to do Spelljammer in the future, and I will have to use third-party stuff to
Correct.
make it functional.
If they had produced a single supplement in the last 18 months that wouldn't have made my job as a DM harder...
Yeah,
I would be more willing to give them some benefit of the doubt. But this feels to me just so much like, wow, we can't produce good content, but they are. Let's just charge them 25%.
And even without the charging 25%, because
Yeah.
if you're below the threshold, which I mean, again, they can change anything they ever want to whenever they want to, because it says so in the contract. But even if they didn't change it, and it was that. Even if they don't take your 25%, they own that content.
Correct.
And they can just slap a new cover on it and put it out to market.
Yeah.
The sad part about it too is the part of the rollback that they did with their little their message. They were saying one of the reasons why they had the initial wording in there is to prevent people from doing NFTs and also making horrible content, as in something that's absolutely racist, something that's absolutely just homophobic. Any of those type of content is stuff that they don't want, which is noble. I understand that,
It's
but
also
then
the original OGL.
Yeah,
But-
the one time someone
but-
tried that with D&D, they shut it down with the OGL and sued that company out of oblivion in 3 weeks.
But also, then if they're worried about that, then why release an official supplement to the goddamn game that includes racism, as in the Spelljammer thing, with the problems with one of the races that are in
They
there?
did pull it out right away.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But how it
but
got
I mean,
past-
how it
how
got
that
got to
past
print.
Yeah, because that was the whole thing. Yeah, they're
I forgot about
they're
that one.
slaves, but they like it type of approach. That was just like, how do
They're
you...
house elves.
It was worse.
Yeah.
It was
how
bad.
How do you... I get that someone wrote it because people are idiots, but they have editors. And the editor read that. And they
Yeah.
that doesn't make sense to me.
When
It went to print.
White Wolf reacted quicker about the terrible racist stuff that was in the latest vampire thing than they did about Spelljammer is pretty bad.
And White Wolf is definitely not the same size of company as Wizards of the Coast.
Correct.
Yeah.
But I mean, and like, Vampire was built on edge.
Yeah.
And they still were like, this is too far even for us.
Also, the other thing they were saying they were doing with the new OGL is they wanted to make sure that this content was all protected from huge corporations. Mm-hmm. You're a $1 billion corporation.
Yeah,
You're the huge corporation.
yeah. So I.
Not like
we
a
have
bigger
no-
fish is coming along to steal. You're not some scrappy independent publisher. Jesus Christ.
I did see this in a video. I did share it on our Discord though.
Join our Discord.
Join our Discord. Just go to our Facebook. I think I have a pinned for joining our Discord.
I haven't changed the link this time.
But if you don't, then message us on our Facebook and we'll get you set up. But any kind of frustrations you have about this OGL, you should not take it out on employees of Wizards of the Coast, content creators. You shouldn't do that either. It's literally is pretty much just the management of Wizards of the Coast that's really
true
done this.
always. Like Bobby Kotick could be flayed alive and dunked in lemon juice, and it would not be enough. But if you are ever screaming obscenities at a random Activision Blizzard employee,
Yeah.
Fuck you.
you're
You're the
the
problem.
You're the
You're
problem.
part
Yeah.
of the problem.
Well, and even like on Friday, Critical Role came out with an announcement that was basically, we can't really talk about this because we probably already signed this, but we support open and this open license movement.
I've been trying to... They've been kind of quiet on that.
Well, they have been
And
quiet.
Matt Mercer liked one tweet.
Well,
that was,
that I know.
But
But,
they did a very like Dan was saying, for obvious legal reasons, it's fairly vague. But it's like imagination from all of us together is what makes our community great. And it's
I cannot blame them for that response, even though I can
They
get
have
why.
so much... they have
Yeah.
so much coming, and they have to be very careful. 'cause
Correct.
They have their own
that's
brand
like
in a-
40
in
some
a way.
people's jobs that they could completely lose if they say the wrong thing. Like, I'm not going to blame them from
But
being
they
careful
have-
in their wording from a power imbalance position.
But they also,
Yeah.
the Critical Role has put themselves in such a weird stance where they have to always bend the knee to their fans because they've kind of, that's kind of also their gimmick, is whatever their fans want, they have to change to.
I mean, that's why all parasocial relationships are awful.
Yeah. But I think theirs is worse than normal. I like Critical Role. I don't want to be negative, but I mean, I feel like their parasocial is even more unfortunate for them than some other places. Just the way they have to do things. It's just so odd, and you can see it every time. Every time it becomes painfully obvious the way they say certain things because it's just not a natural thing. You can just tell they're like bending the knee in such a weird way. The knee is just bent too awkward. Sometimes it's
Sideways.
Yeah, it's just like.
Ugh.
But I mean, but
backwards.
the amount of money they're getting, you know what? You can't with the amount of money being thrown at them constantly.
Correct. It's like I may not agree with this decision, but I would probably make that same decision if I was in that spot.
Again, it's the Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
I understand why they're doing it.
Yeah, no, people love to give them money because the whole parasocial thing. It's like no matter what they do, they could just say, "Hey, can you guys just send us money?" They could just say, "Just send us money. We need it for something." People just give them money.
Yeah.
They wouldn't even have to say for anything.
Correct.
It's just, "We need some money. Can you send us money?"
Like that's the thing with Patreon. You don't even have to offer anything. It's just like I have a Patreon. People are like, cool. Here's money.
Yeah, it's kind of terrifying. But yeah, it is what it is. That whole element. It's good and bad.
Listen, eventually Becca Scott will marry me if I watch them enough.
I don't know who Becca
I think
Scott
she's
is.
married. Is she married? Right?
And she'll leave him.
Sure.
Well,
Brian, that's how these relationships work.
If you show enough love, you can.
If I kill Reagan.
I think nowadays,
So Nova Open is actually at that hotel, and I'm like, that would be a cool thing to see, that plaque.
Oh man, you could cosplay as you cosplay as Reagan. I'll cosplay as Mark David Chapman. Or wait, no, was that which one was Reagan and which was Lennon? And is it funnier if I dress as the wrong one and show up and go, "Dang it, wait a second."
I think Chapman is. That
was Lennon.
That was Lennon. Yeah. I was listening to the Beatles on the way over here, so it was in my head.
Yeah, so D&D was hilarious. I mean, we played D&D today. It was fun.
And I'm just looking over at all the third-party shit.
Yeah, I got
The third-party shit that is making us subscribe to D&D Beyond and buy the core books. And, like, Jesus Christ.
And that's the other depressing thing is, like, I know that one D&D will not fix any of the reasons why I've stopped playing D&D, which is just they made it so hard to be a DM without, like, fix your goddamn encounter balancing system.
Well, yeah, but I find that in games, I mean, my encounter balances are always. I never went off their system anyway.
Well, that's because it doesn't work.
Well, every group is different. The encounters I throw at one group is completely different for encounter at a different group, and so, it also depends on like it's one thing I like is it's like also players. I know that especially players who can pick their spells per day. Like I know that character has a solution in his repertoire, but maybe he didn't plan that spell out for that next day. So maybe they're doubly. If they change things up from the way I expect, it can be pretty ridiculous. I definitely sometimes go, well, I don't know how they're going to kill this. Here you go. And sometimes it works. Sometimes I make an attack roll and I go, oh, I didn't realize that was 70-10 damage to that 7th level character.
Yeah, there were a couple one-shots today. We stood him back up, but yeah, it happened.
I find it hilarious though. Before they rolled out their rollback for the OGL for their apology letter or whatever it was, the amount of people going through to cancel their D&D Beyond subscriptions and that's a great way to kind of hit them in their wallet because
someone on their accounting team talked to Gizmodo or something because they were like, this was a noticeable double-digit decrease in D&D Beyond revenue was what caused that letter to go out. Nothing else. It was flat out enough people canceled D&D Beyond stuff that they had to respond.
The servers crashed with the amount of people canceling their fucking accounts.
So it was either a crash or a purposeful takedown because when it came back up, they hid where you can cancel your subscription.
Oh, really?
They put it deep. It originally was like right away.
Oh, so
they hid it deeper in the menu.
Yes, they did a dirty.
They took the website down to make it harder to cancel your subscription.
That makes sense. I went through with my mom to cancel Norton antivirus or Norton LifeLock off of her account.
Norton virus.
Yeah, Norton virus. But I went through the subscription part there, and I had to go through, I think, like 4 different windows of, like, yes, I want to cancel. Oh, yes, take me to the next screen. Yes.
Do you remember that guy who he recorded it, and he started the recording after it had been a while, but it was like he was on the phone. I think it was Charter, so good news to those of you who are working for a Charter competitor, where it was like literally over an hour of him saying, yes, I want to cancel, and the person just refusing to cancel.
Where they just kept on saying, it's like, well, what is your internet connection? reaction like?
Yeah.
They're like, no, I don't
And it
want
was
it.
literally just saying, nope, I just want to cancel.
I know
nope,
when
I just want to cancel. And
Yeah,
the
the
recording
problem-
went on for like a fucking hour.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a couple of us have worked call centers. You know that person has to do that if they want to keep their job.
Correct, which is why when I dropped Charter a few years ago, I just flat out lied and said I moved out of the service
Yeah,
area.
whenever you have to know.
Because like,
when
I'm
I
going to
call-
save you a whole bunch of time. We both know this is a lie, but I'm moving outside of the service area.
Yeah, you have to know that whenever I call centers, because I've spent time with them, I work related to them, I know the gimmick things to say to kind of expedite things past it.
Yeah.
You can't use the truth in those
Correct.
situations.
The script is written for the truth.
Yeah, those poor employees.
Yeah.
But yeah, D&D Beyond.
The thing that's challenging is, like, I love D&D Beyond, though, because it's so nice, because so much is in there. I can search and find things. All the database is really nice, and a lot of other
And you
things
can
don't
trust
have.
it.
Yeah,
Like,
it's-
normally if you just do a Google search for something, you'll get that stupid D&D wiki that's full of homebrew shit.
Yeah, it's just nonsense. So, but and there are other. I mean, there are other good games. It's just. I mean, we talked about this offline. Is if I walk into any city I can walk. If I find out
There's
like,
three things true of every game store. There will be Magic, there will be 40K, and there will be D&D.
Yeah.
And all three of them, it's the same thing, which is what Brian's saying, is that you know you can play it.
Yeah.
Every Friday Night Magic is a universal thing.
Yep.
I think even D&D has. I think D&D used to be Wednesdays, and I think now it's all Mondays. I think they used to have a night where every store had.
They might have
split.
split it up, but I think if you are a big enough stalker, you are required to have at least one night a week of D&D Adventure League.
And the issue is, and it's they're popular because they're popular. You know, if you want to get an RPG in at the game store, if you want to get a minis game in at the game store, you either have to scrape and desperately work like a fucking second full-time job to get 3 other people to play Batman with you, or you just play 40K, right? And that means that that's always going to be the case.
Correct.
Because you
So
can't
there
pull
are-
them enough.
No joke, in Madison, there are more 40K groups who don't talk to each other and in 2 cases hate each other than there are people who want to play Warmachine.
Yeah. And it's not even all bumbles aside, all
Yeah.
things being equal, just the pure math of it just means that due to inertia, it'll stay that
Correct.
way. Because if you're going to spend the money to start an RPG, well, D&D's right there. Why would I try to learn Shadowrun? Why would I try to find 5 other people to come to my place and play
D&D
Deadlands?
It's such a simply because you can do all these types of worlds in D&D. It covers. I mean, it's still fantasy general, but you can really go in random directions, and it still covers a lot of what you want to do. D&D also does progression of characters well.
Sure.
I've played, and there are other good.
Yeah,
systems,
and I'm
but
not
a
saying
lot.
it's not a good game, and it's only because of that, but
Correct.
it's a
Because it's
huge
there.
fucking part of it.
People have a luckily, I don't have this problem. People are like, well, I spent money on it. I can't quit. It's like, yes, you can. You can quit right now. I could throw everything I owned away right now and do something new tomorrow. I would be content.
Imagine
I say I dream of this place burning down. I would be the happiest person in the world if this place burnt to the ground because I get to start over tomorrow with something new.
Yeah. If you didn't own those things, like the money's gone.
Yeah,
right?
Mm-hmm.
The money's gone.
It's all about time.
Yeah.
Time is so much more useful than money.
But yeah, I mean that's the thing is, and if nothing else, like you said, like nothing's gonna kill it. It's not gonna go anywhere. But even if this just like evens the scales a bit and lets other people come up, like the one that we've talked about a lot is the 2D20 system, Modiphius. You know, you talk about that. It's like there are a dozen different licensed worlds for 2D20, and their system is going open so that you could just slap any Chrome you want onto it. If you want to have a Golden Girls RPG that uses the 2D20 system, and who the fuck wouldn't? You know, where you use your menopause stat and your snarkiness snat to make your roll to make fun of your 80-year-old boyfriend, whatever. Like, you can, right? And so hopefully, if nothing else, people are angry enough about this to finally actually go, I have options. And
for
it's
those-
okay if you stick with D&D.
And
It's
for
okay,
those who
but
want the safety
no.
net of D&D, Pathfinder is still there because Pathfinder is D&D but crunchier.
Yeah.
Which it's too crunchy for some, which I get. But I mean, it's still familiar enough that you could have your group be less crunchy. Your DM could say, "Hey, we're gonna play Pathfinder. We'll just ignore a little bit of the crunch. We won't care about the
Correct.
flanking, or we won't
Yeah.
care about this. We'll just play, and that way we can still." And I think, well, you know, like my campaign, whatever happens, I'm not going to stop my current campaign being in 5e. We're just, you know, we're a year over into it. It's fun, but I would definitely consider possibly moving away from that theoretically in the future.
I mean, if nothing else, this is something we've bandied about, speaking of the 2D20, is that, like, between you and I, like you own
Fallout.
Fallout, I own Dune and Conan and John Carter. Somebody could pick up Star Trek. Somebody could pick up, Mutant Chronicles. There's so many 2D20 systems. And so we've talked about learning the system because every person at this table could DM a different campaign, which is neat. But we've all been too apathetic to do it. And this has pushed me to, like, fuck it. Like, within the next month or two, I want to be in a position where I would feel comfortable and I want to get a campaign going.
Yeah,
because
I just need any excuse to actually push forward and work on the follow. But it's like but exactly. There's other like life, just like apatheticness and work draining my energy.
And one of us had to be first. You're already our DM in D&D. To make you also do the Fallout would just be not fair, right? Yeah. But if I GM John Carter, which is in the 2D20 system, so it's 80 to 90% identical to Fallout. Because one nice thing about the 2D20 system is that each of them is slightly different, so you can kind of tweak it a little. Like, talk about crunchiness. Like, John Carter is like the least crunchy RPG system outside of a diceless system. Because you just make shit up and say, sure, here's some dice. But, like, if I were to GM it, then our group can become familiar with the system to the point where it'll be easier for you to run Fallout. Or for Andy to pick up Star Trek because he loves Star Trek and to DM the Star Trek or, whatever.
It'd be so boring.
The Star Trek one's interesting because
fly
it's way more...
to find a planet.
Away teams. It's about the away teams. You go down there and somebody gets turned into a cube. The Star Trek one is interesting because it's way more about assisting each other in skill checks.
Sure.
Which Star Trek should be.
Sure. I was going to say, though, it's like if we're looking at different game systems, though, too, technically, I mean, there's a ton of older game systems that don't have any new stuff out, like the old IKRPG system.
I've been playing a lot of Call of Cthulhu lately, and that one, I love that system because it is the only RPG I've seen where it actively discourages combat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that can be good, but sometimes you want
it's
who want... Like, if you're sitting down to play D&D...
Yeah. Well, and like
last time we played, we had no combat. This time we had two. This time we had two. Like I think I agree that that's a gimmick of it. And it's a cool element, but I think it's nice. I mean, it'd be hard for me my only RPG.
Yeah. Well, it's good for the normal group I play with because we play 40K on another night of the week.
So tired of dice.
Sure.
I'm tired of dice, and I'm tired of solving every problem with my fist. Yeah. For the group that is my wife and a bunch of friends from high school, we already talked about it, and this system would be awful for them, just because they would not enjoy it.
No.
And it's like I think in any RPG you could make those kind of things.
Correct.
Back and forth, but Cthulhu is it's built more and
correct. I love the fact that your skills get better from using it, and that you have to think about non-combat solutions because if you get into a fight, if you survive, you are spending the next month in the hospital.
So,
like to the point where we just use a website and generate random characters because we rotate about one character every other session. Someone dies or goes insane. So we always just set up plots where it's like, this is a detective agency, and we have really high turnover.
And you know what? If you're cool with doing one-off characters, you can also just do one-off systems.
Yeah.
Play 2 or 3 sessions of some random system you've never done because there's a lot of weird shit out there.
Yeah.
I had dropped half as a joke and kind of half not as a joke. I mentioned Dread, which is a system I learned about recently where the skill checks are you pull out a tile, you do a round of Jenga. You have to get a Jenga block out of there and put it on top. And if the tower falls, your character fucking dies. So on the one hand, there's actually some skill. It's not just randomness. On the other hand, also, the longer the session goes, the more dangerous shit gets because that tower's getting taller and taller. That's neat. I wouldn't want to play a 2-year-long campaign of that, but if I was going to get together with you guys and play like a 3-session thing, like just we're going to meet
that sounds like a
weekends,
perfect convention game.
it'd be fucking great, you know?
Yeah, that's the kind of... I think in a short-term environment, that's fun. Anything else, it's just tedious. Yeah. But I don't like fun that much, so like to me, that doesn't sound that great. But for a short-term one-off, it probably would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That would suck having to reset up.
You throw it away.
I mean, when that tower falls, like I don't. The game's
say like you cut your game short. Like you have, like 2 weeks. You have to let that fucking Jenga tower sit on the table.
I think resetting the tower is the equivalent of like a long rest. Like everybody's in a good position now, right? It's probably it's during combat you just do that.
I played a game called Eclipse Phase. It's basically like Dead Space. The game. It was basically you run around in space, and you did everything, and that was a game where a lot of times you kind of wanted to avoid combat, but you had to deal with things. But it was weird because you made it was a percentage game, so your character maybe you had a. But that game was the thing with the percentage game and this is I think true of most games I've played where it's all percentage dice versus a D20 or D8 or whatever, is your progression after you go is it's so hard to feel. It's okay. You start off, your character has a 68% as your starting
Correct.
point,
And then it's just incremental.
You've leveled up. Oh, after these 3 sessions, now you're at 60 or 71%.
Correct.
Which is huge, but it doesn't feel huge.
Yeah, you really so that's
like levels are stupid, hit points are stupid, but they also on their face you go, oh, like,
exactly.
And that's the thing is like it is dumb that a level 1 mage is killed by a house cat.
Well, not anymore. But.
Sure, yeah, but the exaggeration of it, but
yeah.
That's and at the other end is like when you're a level 20 barbarian, you can fall into orbit from the space shuttle and then hit impact and you'll survive it, right? Yeah. That's fucking stupid, but it's easy to look on your sheet and feel like you grew.
Yeah. And it's cool when someone's like, hey, I got hit by 75 damage, I'm fine, you know. But you are right, hit points by default are dumb, but it does work very well.
And it's not even just in RPGs, it's, you're playing a video game and you'll get like a skill point that takes you from 68 to 71, like you said, and it's like,
and they all use hit points too,
Like I'm replaying The Witcher 3 because they have the enhanced editions that came out, and the gear has slots to put on runes, and I have never, my whole like 200 hours playing it the first time, and I'm like 90 hours in this time, I've never put a rune on a weapon or a sword, because every rune is just like plus 2% to Igni. I don't give 2 fucks about 2%. That could be game-breakingly amazing. When Nathan reads plus 2%, he does not care.
Especially when you can put like 3 runes on. By the way, you need to stop playing that game and play Horizon
Forbidden West?
Forbidden West.
Yes.
I would need to go back and reinstall Horizon Zero Dawn because I got mad at one fight.
You gotta finish those games. I can't
God
talk.
damn it!
Have you played Forbidden West all the way through?
I'm playing through it again.
Listen, one fight annoyed
when
me.
I saw the you see the trailer for the DLC, when that horse thing moves.
Yeah.
I've never.
It took me twice because the first time I'm like, the fuck did I just see?
I know. When a video game, when you see a thing move in a trailer, it shouldn't affect me as a person that much. But it's such a terrifying thing because the implications of that moment. It's so fucking good in a trailer.
That is the only game I have ever played where I go into complete media blackout until I finish it.
Oh yeah, no,
because I didn't know what I was walking into the first time, other than you told me, yeah, it's bows and robots. And then my wife was in Maryland visiting her parents after Adepticon. I'm like, I'm lonely and bored. I'm gonna buy this, and then I'm like, shit, it's the next day.
The combat feels so good. It's such a smooth game. The miniature game that came out, the miniatures for that game are so beautiful.
So fuck Ted Faro.
Yeah.
I hope the DLC has audio logs you can find where he bought Twitter.
Nathan, it's covered.
It
It is covered in the best possible way.
Yeah, you gotta keep.
I'm even. Yeah. Good old Ted Faro.
Yep. Yes. Exactly.
Annoyingly believable character.
Play the sequel, please. Play all these.
Yeah.
There's so many things, and I love. So
I don't know,
many
that
elements.
rock biter annoyed me. I was done.
I mean, I don't blame you. Did you get to the part where you ran into the 2 possessed rockbiters?
No, I think it was the very first rock thing. It was like some random.
Was it the one in the quarry?
Yeah, and they're like, there's a thing there, and I fought it like 4 times, and I'm like, I have to fight this slightly different than every other fight, and that annoys me, so I turned it off. My brain wasn't ready to do different tactics.
Yet you throw a pallet in Dead by Daylight for 2,000 hours, and you get shocked every 3rd time it doesn't go right, and you keep playing. It's so bizarre to me that for that mentality to like keep forgiving DBD when it keeps fucking up the and it's like it's just amazing. It's amazing
But
to me.
it's a great
On the plus side, I now have a
system.
second recommendation. Just play goddamn Horizon.
Yeah. I will say I am kind of sick of long video games, and it's harder for me to play it because it's at least every quest in Horizon Forbidden West, even the first one, they feel like fun. Like they don't feel that off. They feel like enjoyable. There's things happening. The characters and the side characters have some depth to it. It's not that bad. I didn't 100%. I 100% of the first game. I did not 100%.
I'm working through the last stuff. The nice thing about the Platinum for Forbidden West is you don't have to do everything. Which is really nice. Like, for instance,
you don't need a gold in every single hunt.
Correct. Yeah, you have to do some stuff. The big one is, like, there's Machine Strike, which is like Gwent.
Yeah.
You don't have to beat every Machine Strike site. You have to get X number of victories. You can do that however you want, but, like, I ground it out in, like, an hour and a half. And that was, like, the worst trophy.
In, like, the first Forbidden game I played, and like Spider-Man, I played the Knights, or what's the Ghost of Tsushima?
Yeah.
fucking beautiful game too. You played that?
Yes.
Like those games, when I finished, I was like at 90+% anyway. So I'm like, well, because I was the game
Ghost
was so
of Tsushima,
enjoyable.
I was going to 100%, and then I found out about the one where you have to go to 9 unmarked spots, and I'm like, nah, I'm out now.
Luckily, that wasn't as
Google
bad
exists.
as I thought because I
Yeah.
looked it up because it's literally it didn't tell you in game, but if you were near someone and pressed like a button, you'd wave at someone, and if you waved at people near a certain thing, it counted for this achievement. And I had no idea, but it took like 20 minutes.
It was just annoying.
Yeah, but I thought it was going to be this like atrocious thing that would take me like 7 years.
The worst is the ones that are like they'll have collect 100 of some random doodad that they're hidden around, and they have 100 of the doodad, and they're not marked. And you finish the game and you have 87 of them. So even if you Google the list, you'll have to go back to all 100 because you don't know what 13 you're missing.
Yeah,
that's the worst.
For Assassin's Creed 2, I was so close in the stupid feather quest. I eventually printed out all the maps, and my wife and I just spent an afternoon where she was just with a clipboard and a pen, and we were jumping around and marking
that's
them
not
off.
fun.
I did
Yeah.
that for some games because it was like the last achievement, and I had
Yeah.
to do that, so I was going through everything, and I was like, God damn.
Well, and like halfway through, we're like,
Stardew Valley, I had to do that.
this is not even fun. Why are we doing it? I'm like, I'm so close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your brain doesn't care.
That's how they get
Well,
you.
yeah, it's like, fuck
I'm
sunk
one-
cost. This has to be finished because otherwise this whole afternoon was
I
wasted.
am one card away from a Marvel Snap complete collection of Pool 1 for Pool 1 to 3, and then I can stop playing the game. But I cannot stop. And I mean, all you do is play for 2 more days, and I'll have a complete Pool 3 collection.
Sure.
And then
Is that including the 4s that are dropping to 3 in a couple weeks?
Nope, because it's
You have to beat them. Because if you don't get this one before then,
I got to get it before.
Let me borrow your phone for 2 weeks.
I was done with Gwent, but I played it for almost 200 hours to get to the 5th thing.
Yeah.
I put probably 200 more hours into it just to complete the thing. I could mentally complete the goal I had, and then I never touched it again after I did my goal. I was like, I got what I wanted, but I couldn't walk away knowing I was that close to it. I mean, it was 200 hours close.
It was fun that when I got to there, because you didn't even bother opening your kegs, right?
I think
Because
I
maybe
did
you did.
eventually.
Because I opened my like 250 kegs that I had saved up, and then of course I went and I scrapped it, and that's where I learned that the game has a scrap limit. Because it automatically, like when you go into its store, it burns all your duplicates for the resources. And then I left and I came back and it happened again because I was like, man, I thought I had a lot more stuff, and it turned out that I had so many fucking cards that the game was like, I did what I could. Come back again because I'm tired. I can't scrap any more cards. So I had to leave the store and come back into the store and scrapped the rest of them.
Yeah, sometimes it's in games. It's like, okay, I'm done with it, but I just need this last thing done.
Yeah.
Because mentally I'm broken, and I can't give it up.
Still, yeah.
Luckily, I'm not that way for physical things. For some reason, games get me, but like,
I still love Gwent so much, and it is what it is. And obviously, it wasn't popular enough, and it'll go. And there's still another year of new content, so I don't need to mourn it like it's already dead. There's a year of new content before it goes
I
into.
would say the last couple of years have been rough because their balance has been.
They've
so bad,
struggled
and the
with
power
balance, and the
creep is
metas
so
have.
bad.
They've struggled with balance to dwarf the metas. But when there's a good match of Gwent, where like there's actual, there's so much depth in that game compared to other games, and when its highs are so high. But yeah, they've struggled with balance, and it's a shame.
Release was not fun
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah, it was unfortunate.
But I still love to watch. I will watch hours and hours and hours of Gwent content when I'm just doing laundry and stuff because when those streamers curate the interesting games and they play those games that are a close match, there's such great gameplay there. When it's just somebody vomiting a Renfrey mid-range Nilfgaard deck on somebody, it's like, oh my god. And unfortunately, when you're playing it, that's all you see, right? And that's the shame of it.
Indeed. That's the OGL.
So fuck WotC.
Yeah, I do hope that, I mean, they're a corporation, so they're going to not word it as well, but I do hope that they just, like, don't fucking shoot themselves in the head again.
It's just, they're so, CEOs are so short-sighted in general that they're...
Did you guys see the investor call where they're like, we've realized that we are under-monetizing both
Well,
D&D
that's what-
and
That's what
Magic.
started it
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, that was back in, like, late November, early
And
December.
not even just them. Like, you know what? Let's save $20 by not releasing Snowpiercer.
Well, yeah,
We have a
Discovery-
fucking season of a TV show that is done. We don't even have to. We could just press a button and it's on our streaming service for zero additional cost to us.
Additional cost is probably there's probably some weird incentives that they have to pay the studio that made that series in some way or another. And that's why I believe that
The contract, the contract penalty for not showing it is not as bad as how much they would have to pay out if it actually worked and succeeded.
Well, how I mean, Discovery won't even put the Batgirl movie out. That's done. I mean, it's just insane what they're doing to some of these things. And it's all because of short-term profitability for like some people. And it's like they're destroying. Discovery's like the worst.
Yeah.
I mean, Westworld is gone. You can't watch
Westworld was terrible, so that's okay.
Well,
there's still some good. I mean,
there's some good sequences.
There's enough good to make it sad that it's gone.
Odd seasons of Westworld were good.
It's like inverted Star Trek.
Yes.
So watch a season of Westworld and a season of Star Trek.
Yeah. Westworld season 1, Star Trek movie 2. Westworld season 3, Star Trek movie 4. Yeah.
You probably could get a story.
Three is still good for Star Trek, though.
I actually like
it's the best odd-numbered movie.
And 1 and 3, I think, yeah. You and I are defenders of both 1 and 3. Not so much 5, although it's got moments. Scotty hitting his head, and then the scene of Bones talking about his pain with his dad is a great scene, and just the concept of an emotional Vulcan. Whatever.
Yeah,
There's ideas, but man, is it not executed well. And how much is that Shatner's a terrible director, and how much of it was studio interference, and how much of it was budget because they were slashing it over and over? I don't know. The world may never know. But holy shit, Star Trek V struggles.
Yep.
But yeah, just the short-sightedness, because the issue is like, and for years I talked about, like, I don't know how Netflix makes money, right?
Yeah.
Because, like, you know, you can't look at Bright and say that X dollars came from people signing up because they wanted to watch Bright and whatever. And the answer is that Netflix doesn't make money. Netflix's stock makes money. And so these CEOs, that's all they care about, and that's why they only care about short-term, because you do something that looks good in the short term, your stock goes up, and then you made $1 bajillion and you get your golden parachute. They don't give a fuck about long-term survivability.
Yeah.
Which is, it is as crazy to see something like HBO get hit by this.
Yeah.
Usually that shit doesn't happen to like your top tier quality entertainment.
Yeah.
God.
HBO Max was so artistically and content-wise the streaming service. It had so much great stuff. It had the Criterion Collection, and they're just like, fuck it. Burn it all to the ground.
$2 more a share.
Yeah. Well,
$2 more a share.
And $1 more for
Separate
subscription
package.
too.
Decisions how does it make their share better to make terrible decisions? Like they obviously is working out for them.
So, Brian, you're falling into the classic investor fallacy of assuming that the stock market is rational.
Well, I mean, that's the other shenanigans.
I mean, it's so insane though. I
want to see Snowpiercer season 4.
Jim and I, we watch a lot of stuff on there, and I was just thinking about it. I was like, well, maybe we should just give Westworld just a shot. And we heard through rumors that it was leaving, and I looked it up. It was gone. The show that we really enjoyed, which is Raised by Wolves, that one was completely gone already. So, like, if you don't own a physical version of it, then you'll probably never see it.
That's the other thing, is just curation, right? And then that's why, and Andy and I are both fans of James Stephanie Sterling, and talking about how it is the morally correct thing to pirate every Nintendo game you can.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pirate as much as you possibly can, because they will not, like, you can't buy these things from them. They won't sell it to you, and from not even just I want to play WarioWare smooth moves from, the whatever, even just that aside, like, I love Roger Ebert, but he was wrong. Games are art, right? Chrono Trigger is an art as much as Citizen Kane and the Mona Lisa. Chrono Trigger needs to exist. And and now Chrono Trigger obviously had physical. But, like, if Chrono Trigger came out now and was a digital-only purchase and it's on their screen and then it's gone next year, art has been erased, and that can't be allowed.
I want to agree that video games can be art. I can play a game like Last of Us 1, Mass Effect 2. Games are art. But then I play Mass Effect 3 or Last of Us 2. Games are not art.
The same is true of movies. There's art movies, and there's.
I think Last of Us 2 is so bad.
It erases
all the good that has ever happened.
So, Brian,
before.
serious question: would you rather watch The Thin Red Line again or play Mass Effect 3?
For the same amount of time. You don't have to play the whole thing.
It's been a long enough time where I might watch A Thin Red Line again.
But you're not allowed to leave the. You're not allowed to leave the chair.
The problem though with that, if I were to go into Mass Effect 3 again, and this is the same thing true for Last of Us 2. The stories in both of them are dog shit, but mechanically there are elements, video game wise, they're okay. It's just that the story insults me. But I'm so numb to those stories being bad, I don't know if it could hurt me because at least the character, at least bang bang shoot is kind of cool, and the way you kind of upgrade a character is cool. It's just I wish I could just not care about quality of story in a video game because I could still be happy with Mass Effect 3 or Last of Us 2. Well, even Last of Us is such an insult to my existence.
My point goes even beyond video games. Like, remember, iTunes, like, songs have just disappeared from iTunes. Apple will just say, nope, it's gone. Which means if you only owned that song on iTunes, it's just gone.
Which reminds me, I finally found that pop punk Pina Colada song again.
Oh,
it would have been
Lord.
gone for a while.
And gee, that would have been a shame that art would have been deleted from the world.
That one
you know
was-
what? As much as I hate it,
That one was so
deserves
bad it
to
was
exist.
good.
Yeah, as
It was
much as I hate it,
it was the
deserves to
second
exist.
steel drum one which broke me.
And what sucks for me being me is I guess if I don't want physical copies, so if they're going to delete the digital, I guess it just sucks to be me. But I'd rather it be gone than sitting on my shelf, just sitting there that I don't touch for 4 years.
On a personal level, I would rather have digital.
Yeah.
It's more convenient. I have it. You know, the only thing that on a personal level annoys me about buying digital, specifically with films, is that they don't usually have commentary tracks and like behind the scenes and stuff. And I love commentary tracks. I'm an addict to commentary tracks. I used to not buy a movie that I liked if it didn't have a commentary track because if you can't sit down for 2 hours to watch your own fucking movie, why should I do it, right?
Although some commentary tracks by
Even
some
if they're
people are pretty fucking bad.
But either way, yeah.
I just realized I want to watch the
prefer-
Michael Caine commentary on Jaws 4.
Sure. Yeah, his finally watching the movie for the first time ever, and he just talks about his house the whole time. That'd be great. But, like, on a personal level, I'm with you. I would rather have a clean shelf and only own digital. Like, I only buy digital video games, right? Yeah. But again, like, on a societal level, they deserve to be curated. Yeah. They deserve to exist. And that's the delicate balance, right?
Does anything deserve to exist anymore, though?
Transformers
as much as anything else. So either no or yes.
It's a hard one. Last of Us 2 really just hurts the whole thing. It just really kind of takes it all away.
But isn't Last of Us 2 worth it for how angry the chuds got over the fact that sometimes a woman has biceps?
That's what makes me even madder is the people who don't... There's different reasons people are mad at Last of Us 2, and I hate those people so much. It's like, oh, women have arms.
Women have arms, man!
And I hate them so much because it's like...
Well, it's ruining your ability to critique it.
It's a shitty story. Let's just focus on the actual If you told me that there was a contest and a 5th grader won and the prize was he got to write Last of Us 2, I would believe that. I think that would... now it makes sense. A 5th grader wrote this. Now I get it. Congratulations. Good job winning that contest. But...
We've covered this.
But I'm stuck with those chuds and those fucking women have arms and women do things. Oh, bad, getting bad. And I'm like,
it's frustrating that you agree with them about the quality of the game, and you're like, but not for those reasons. Yeah. Shut up.
Yeah, we talked about this
it's
before.
similar to you and why you don't like Star Wars 8, but it's hard to defend not liking it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, it's not because it's a woman and a black. It's because the movie sucks.
Sorry, Andy.
No, I was just saying, though, it does suck, though, when you dislike something for something, and then the online internet community doesn't like it, too, but they don't like it because, Aloy's got hair on her chin.
Yeah, oh, she's a mammal.
Yeah. It's
all these people, they make me...
And they're just...
God help you. Like, I laughed at it, so I actually defended it, but, like, God help you if you didn't like the improv style of Ghostbusters 2016. Because, Jesus, that movie was descended upon by the Chud Circle so hard.
And I like that's one where I think it's great, the pitch meeting, because it's like there's no straight person. That's a problem with that movie. They don't have a straight...
Correct.
You needed a straight
That's the
one
problem with all of Paul Feig's movies, right? Like, that whole every movie he makes, it's just, is that. And so I get that, but that particular movie, nope. Women be bad.
Yeah, no, it's just badly written. That's the problem.
Nope, you're a misogynist.
Yeah, exactly. It's frustrating.
And you can defend yourself all you want, Brian, about like, oh, little Timmy wrote the story. I know that the only reason you don't like Last of Us 2 is because a woman has muscles.
Yeah,
obviously.
Yeah, and it's woke because the character that they make that you don't like in the game they make you play half of it does some things and they make her good and then they have her like be woke because she's defending someone who's trans. So therefore. that make people mad. Oh, you got a woman with arms. You have the
one person you play as is gay.
Yeah.
Now you're defending trans people. Now they've got muscles. What's next?
I know. I'm like, but the story is so bad. That's all I'm here for. And I'm surrounded by these just terrible human beings. I just have to shut up and walk away and sit in my corner quiet about how bad that fucking thing is. Because these fuckwads are over here just being terrible human beings. Oh. And I'm still going to watch Last of Us tonight. Just have to ignore the fact that I wish I could get hit in the head and to forget everything about Last of Us 2. And I know you can't watch this. Like, you can't watch it.
But the
Like
problem,
Memento, you just have like a tattoo that says "Don't play Last of Us 2."
Yeah.
the problem with that plan, Brian, is me or Nathan would take Sharpie on that too.
Yeah, no, which is a problem. Yeah, exactly. I get that.
Don't trust Alex Moran. There's a deep dive that.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, I get so dizzy with my rage for a second. I don't know what's going on. Fucking chuds.
Zappity. Our chat says you can't play Horizon games because their computer's not good enough, and I will say just play it on a console. Like, you should play all games on video game consoles.
Well,
never play games on PCs. It's strictly superior to play on consoles, especially first-person shooters and RTSs.
Horizon is a third-person game, which is
probably the one that people might agree is better on.
100%.
I will always go towards
A third-person action, a console, and a controller is the correct choice.
I just like where I don't have to.
Person.
Yeah.
You should do first person on PC. Although from growing up playing GoldenEye, I actually enjoy first person shooter on consoles, but I know that it's wrong. And then RTSs have to be on computer. If you're playing an RTS on a console, that is a sad state of affairs.
I got the PlayStation 2 version of Warcraft 2 if you want to play that.
They exist. I don't remember what it was, but there was some like PlayStation 1 RTS that I played that was in Warhammer Fantasy.
Yeah, Shadow of the Horned Rat.
It might have been. The only thing I remembered is that the campaign, the casualties like carried over, so it was so fucking brutal. Like, it became just unwinnable because you'd start a mission and you'd be like, yeah, well, you have literally impossible to pass this. Go fuck yourself.
I'm trying to remember if it was that or like Dune 2 or there's one of those RTSs from that age that was like almost impossible to beat on a computer, and then they had a controller version.
Yeah, good luck with that. Dune 2.
So anything...
I love that that's what they called that game. They're just like, this isn't the adaptation of Dune. This isn't Dune, Rise of the Chapter House, whatever. It's like, the book is Dune. This game is now the sequel, so it's Dune 2. Fuck yeah. Go for it.
TOO?
Sure, that would be great also.
We don't have any Zappity Grumbles. But we could just, before recommendations, we could just go back to, like, technically we didn't have, like, a best of at all. We normally don't have a best of anyway.
I don't know.
A best of 2022.
Oh.
I went into our TV section and it was like, let's talk about our best shows of 2020, of 2022, and, like, no one here joined into that. So fuck you.
Well, that's
I didn't hear
because
that.
you posted Andor, and I have been lazy, and I still need to finish it.
Well, that was one. I had other one.
And, like, I agree with you from what I watched. It's just need to finish it before I can interact with it.
I get that. You see, I see someone talk about it. I see the name of a show. I'm partway through. I have to walk away.
Correct. Yeah.
I've been there. But I forgot what I posted to the shows. 2022 was great for TV. In general, we're having pretty good years for TV. We got Murderville, so what more do you need from that? But I don't remember that. But now we're a couple weeks past 2022, so I don't remember as well.
Yeah, I don't really remember much. 2020 has been a very long year. Honestly, it's been like 3 years. It just feels like everything has been melded together. One giant season. I'm sick of season 3 of...
You've slept 18 hours a day since 2020. Of course, it all seems like 1 year. You've only been awake for a quarter of it.
So really, it isn't even a whole year yet.
Yeah, it's like.
Congratulations, you're still in April of 2020.
Yeah.
That month.
On the other hand, I'm so sorry. You're still in April of 2020.
I just had to wear a mask to go to the game store earlier today.
There you go. Nathan's looking at something.
I was saying because you mentioned, and then you said that he posted about Andor, and I was trying to see where. I didn't know you were.
That was
talking
like 2
about.
weeks ago.
Oh, I was looking like in the crippled system
No.
thing to try to see if there was.
In Crippled System under the television sub-channel about 2 weeks ago when it was like the beginning of McKay, I was just curious what people thought of like what were their favorite shows of 2022. Here's like my favorite 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7.
Yeah.
It accelerated a little bit, but there was like, and I still left out a few good shows. I didn't even mention some of the stuff I really liked. It was just a good year of TV. And then in the last couple weeks, I've been trying to cram in the stuff I didn't get. Like people were talking about how good The Bear was. I finally started watching that and some other
Slow
things.
Horses.
Slow Horses. I watched season 1 of that. Those aren't even things I organically watch.
We didn't talk about Glass Onion yet.
No, that
You could. Have you seen Glass Onion, Dan?
I have not.
Oh, there you go.
But-
That's why we don't talk about Glass.
Well, I mean, we wouldn't go to spoilers on behalf of the listeners anyway. You know what I mean?
That came out like on the 23rd of December. Fuck everyone.
That's true. That came out last year.
Yeah, it came out last year. Well, no, it's a funny thing with Glass Onion. There's always someone in the room for like a week and a half who didn't see Glass Onion. So no matter what we could do, we could.
I waive my spoiler rights
Yeah.
if that matters.
It's a good movie. That's my review of Glass Onion.
I just watch it. I mean, it's you don't.
It's
there's
funny. It's
Yeah.
it's a good. It's worth viewing. If you enjoy Knives Out, it's different, of course, but it's relatable and it's good.
Yeah, it is good, but that's the only problem with it. Is kind of like I love Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.
Yeah.
But I would always rather if I have time to watch a Guy Ritchie movie, I'm going to watch Snatch.
Yeah.
And I'm worried that Glass Onion is going to fall to Knives Out that same way.
I can watch.
But it might be different enough that it's not quite as analogous. But I love Knives Out so much. But Glass Onion is different, and Glass Onion does feel funnier. I think Glass Onion is definitely funnier than Knives Out. Knives Out is more bitingly cynical, whereas Glass Onion is almost more like wacky in a lot of moments. It's still cynical, but there's especially like Dave Bautista's character and
My question, from what I understand, there's a lot of
Birdie.
stuff that seems to be funny or makes sense
Daughter.
now because it's people in real life. Thinly pasted.
That is way overblown. There is a rich character who is an out-of-touch billionaire.
Sure.
And so, of course, currently...
It's Musk.
It looks like Elon Musk.
Okay.
But there will always be an out-of-touch billionaire. This is not Elon Musk. This is just an out-of-touch
Okay, so it's
billionaire.
not going to be
No.
the thing where it runs out of steam 5
It is
years
not
from now.
Musk.
Yeah.
it's pretty close.
Only because that is who... Musk is a quintessential... It is an out-of-touch billionaire who made his money in the tech industry by riding the curtails on other people's idea.
Who's
it's
the
Musk.
lady who
It's
got
so-
arrested because she's in jail?
Yeah,
now
it
because
could have
of
been the
her-
Theranos
No,
girl.
she-
It could have
says
been-
There are some quotes that he did in Glass Onion that actually match. It's a
Yes.
mashup of tech
Sure.
billionaires.
Okay.
It's a mashup of tech
It is
billionaires.
just that Musk is the quintessential tech billionaire, so it feels like Musk, but it is just a tech billionaire.
Got it. So they made it so it's not one of those movies where it's like, this is really good now, but in 5 years,
Yes, it is
nothing's
not-
going to make
There'll
sense.
always be a piece of shit tech billionaire that you can
Got it.
Correct.
to.
Correct. I felt. I mean,
I didn't even think of Musk when I watched the movie. I just thought this is a tech billionaire. And then people were like, it's obviously Musk. I go, well, yeah, I guess, but only because Musk is a quintessential tech billionaire. So
And he's in the...
it's not some not so thinly veiled, this is Schmeelon Schmusk. That's not how it is.
Got it. Okay.
Knives Out was cool because it starts off when there's a mystery, and it was cool that you feel like you're behind the scenes because even at the beginning, you know how the person died and you know who the person's covering it up, and you're kind of watching on play, but then you realize that's wrong and not true because someone else did the murder, and you thought that the movie kind of lied to the audience and to the character that you were walking around with. In Glass Onion, it's a completely different. They frame it and it's still unique, but it's a completely different layer how they layer it together, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a similar. The end of Act 1 recontextualize all of Act 1, and then Act 2 happens, and then it itself gets recontextualized. Yeah, in a different way than Knives Out, but it's the similar thing where just when you as the audience are getting comfortable, shit changes.
Yeah. And it's, I do like, I mean, a lot of people like a good murder mystery, and it's, I think a part of the murder mystery is not even figure, just seeing how smart it plays out, and I think that both Knives Out and this are both very smart in how it plays out, and I feel like they earn the payoffs. It all wraps together, very organically, which is, and then it's witty on top of all that, and fast-paced dialogue and a lot
Snappy
of
fun.
nonsense. Yeah.
You were saying you haven't seen Brick yet, or was that somebody else I was talking to? I was talking to somebody else about JJ or not. I was about not JJ Abrams, Ryan Johnson stuff, and they hadn't seen Brick yet, which was his first big breakthrough film.
I've seen a lot of his stuff, but I've not seen Brick. I mean, there's Bricks in houses I've seen, but
Brick's fun because Brick's not so much well, it is a mystery, but instead of being like this style of mystery, it's more like a Maltese Falcon film noir where the grizzled detective is hired by a dame to look into some stuff, but the gimmick being that it's all high school kids. Brick's fun.
Is Nick Cage in a noir movie coming out soon? Because he had 2 trailers.
Well, he's in Dracula, or Renfield, rather.
But there's Renfield. I could have sworn there was another trailer where he's playing a detective, or there might have been a different. I saw a couple trailers. This is the time of year where you start getting just bombarded by new trailers, so I'm kind of mixing things up. I saw 2 distinctly different Nick Cage trailers. I can't remember if one was a noir or if that was a different actor that was in the noir, but it was absurd.
He was upset that he's not in Into the Spider-Verse. He wanted to be in the... Or,
he wasn't in the Spider-Verse.
I mean, the new Beyond the Spider-Verse. Whatever the new Spider-Man...
his character not in it?
Yeah, his character's not in it.
Which, I mean, that was the gimmick of the first one. Like, it's fine for the next one to tighten it up, right? And still have some of those characters, but you can't bring them all back again.
No, I mean, you're having 2099 in there for pretty much the
right, and so you
entire
have to
there.
cull, you know. And I my guess is that anime and pig version also don't come
Probably
back.
not.
You know,
Yeah.
they're going to focus on Gwen and Miles.
Yeah, and I think
Probably Peter B is back.
Older Peter, yeah.
Yeah, Peter B.
That actor's amazing.
Yeah.
I watched New Girl 1,000 times, and I can't. I hear that guy's voice, I just think of him in New Girl. It's just like
Oh, I've never seen Nurgle, but
Nurgle?
Nurgle.
Zoe Deschanel in Nurgle.
I have watched New Girl. That is one of. There was like 4 or 5 shows that I rewatch almost yearly, and New Girl is one of the shows. Psych, New Girl, Deadwood. Or actually, Justified. Deadwood's like an every other year thing. But yeah, every year I watch Justified. Every year I watch Psych. Every year I watch New Girl.
Ooh, new Justified is coming soon, too.
Yes.
Oh.
I'm not thinking about that all the time.
Yeah. Timothy Olyphant should just, I'm happy he's being typecast because he's being typecast as that character in everything now.
He was in a vampire show with Drew Barrymore, and he played this kind of. And that's a funny little show. It only made it 2 seasons, and season 2 is better than season 1, which is.
You call it a vampire show? Not a zombie
it's
show?
A zombie show.
Okay.
It's in Santa Clara Diet.
It was an undead. I went to the wrong.
Yeah.
It's a zombie show. It's funny, and you get to see Timothy Olyphant be kind of fun. It's him it's comedy, and it's nice to see him allowed to like go a little bit to the side a little bit because I do love him in his typecast role as cowboy guy. I mean, I fucking love that as him.
Yeah.
But he's great in that show because he just gets to be goofy and just ridiculous.
I mean, he's also great as a TV lawyer.
Yes, he's great as a TV lawyer. He's great as his first big role back when he got to play like the druggy guy.
And Go.
He's great in Go.
I assumed he was Elan Sleaze-Bagano in Star Wars 2, Attack of the Clones.
No,
Remember
it is
Elan Sleaze-Bagano?
Yeah, no.
With George Lucas's great character naming that the sleazebag is named Sleaze-Bagano?
Mm-hmm.
That's the guy who tries to sell death sticks to Obi-Wan Kenobi. And Obi-Wan says, you're going to go home and rethink your life.
Mm.
At least with those kind of namings, it's because they never say the name out loud. So it's okay.
No, I think it's because George Lucas is a troll. It's like there was, I think it was like Darth Sidious's mentor or some other one. Like people like we need to know his name for like the RPGs and stuff. We need to know this character's name, and he's like, nah, don't worry about it. So we know the name. It's like fine, it's Darth Icky. And they're like, what? He's like, yep, that's canon. Fuck you.
Yeah,
his name is Darth Icky.
He has
Deal with it.
He has done that a few times.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't.
In fairness,
a little bit.
being a member of the Star Wars fandom, we deserve it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you deserve it. It's just like I went from being annoyed at Lucas for how terrible the prequels were to loving Lucas with that whole laser sword shit, which is great. Now, like for years and years and years, like they're called lightsabers. They're all called lightsabers, but for like 30 years he's called them laser swords just to be different. And then there was an interview like 3 years ago where somebody who'd done their research was interviewing him, and he mentioned he's like, so blah blah blah. So anyway, just tell us about laser swords. And Lucas, without missing a beat, just goes, they're called lightsabers. How can you not love George Lucas? I don't care how bad the prequels were. He's my favorite person. Between that and the low income housing that he was like to fuck his neighbors,
Yeah.
love him. He had snoopy neighbors like, screw you, low-income housing on your property. Fuck your property value.
So there's that video of the guy who's walking down the street just doing like an interview with himself, and like George Lucas is in the background and kind of looks up, kind of smirks, and just goes back on. The guy never knows George Lucas is in his fucking little thing he's doing.
It was like,
moment and it kept going.
Yeah, it was a documentary. I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, again, the Adam Sandler thing. Like, say what you will, I would sell anything to Disney for $1 billion. Like, yeah. You can't. Lucas is living his best life. Him and his jowls retiring on a beach.
He got paid for Star Wars, and then also got to work as kind of a producer for the last.
And maybe when Spielberg makes a new movie, though, you should not ask George from his.
How old should the X be?
But yeah, you're right. Yeah, he gets all those things, he gets those credits.
Yeah. Space Justified. I can't wait for it. It's gotta happen.
Space Justified.
I want Space Justified
Obviously
so
it's
much.
happening. They specifically had
they had it set up,
credit sequence to bring the character back.
But hopefully it's not as bad as the Book of Boba Fett, because they set up that as a whole new
But we
series.
also got season 2.5 out of Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And those 2 episodes were good too. It's just
The .1 episode of Mandalorian.
It was 2 episodes. Man. It was one
No.
it was,
We got a
It was
full
2.
episode, and he was in at least half. Like,
Yeah.
he was in
Half
half
the
an
other
episode,
two.
a full episode, and then a half an episode.
Yeah.
So it's 2
Yeah.
total.
But what I'm saying though is their track record of
Yeah.
spin-off series of The Mandalorian. I don't want another Book of Boba Fett.
no one wants to watch that. That's why Andor being good was such a shock.
Yeah.
Andor is so good. I'm just saying it's good. I'm not
I
gonna
know.
lie.
I know it's good.
We're
But
gonna
It's just bizarre.
Yeah,
we're gonna
no,
try to get Jim to watch it.
And
He's
retroactively, it makes
almost
sense.
agreed.
Because
He's
the
almost
thing
agreed
that
to
made
it.
me not want to watch Andor is actually the greatest strength of Andor, and it's so obvious to me in hindsight. I don't give 2 fucks about this character. Perfect.
Yeah, it's weird because I just watched it, and I think it also helped that the last 2 things before it weren't very good in Star Wars. They really lowered the bar for themselves, and then they're like, "What if we just made something good and we also it happened to be Star Wars?"
I couldn't even finish Obi-Wan.
It took me a second to think of like what was the other segments.
Yeah.
I just mentioned Boba Fett. What was the other? Oh, it was the
Was
Obi-Wan
Mandalorian season 2 really that bad? Oh yeah, Obi-Wan.
Yeah,
I didn't mind. Obi-Wan is very flawed, but I still enjoyed parts of it.
I enjoyed parts of it
the
too.
problem with Obi-Wan is it takes so long to get good that a lot of people burned out.
Yeah.
that's
Like
fair.
the last 2 episodes are really good.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
just have to survive episode 4.
And a lot of shows do that.
I
It's
got through
like,
3 that
And
stopped.
some
Well,
shows,
and episode 4 is worse.
Oh.
And then after that, it got better. Episode 4 was really hard to get through.
was that where they were in the station breaking into the thing?
Yes. The one where you're like, if you've played Fallen Order, you're angry because they did the same thing again, and it worked again.
Was that that was they're all caught up in the hangar? Is that the one I'm thinking of?
No, that one is better. Episode 4 is the one where they go to the Inquisition base. You break in the exact same way as you break in Fallen Order, and they haven't updated security to stop you from breaking in the exact same way.
Oh.
Listen, maybe
And then
Jedi
you break
Fallen
the same
Order
window.
was made under an OGL, so then Lucasfilm got the rights to that because they can use it in perpetuity.
I want to hit you with this chair.
That's fair.
That's okay. We got a couple more.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got several other chairs. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, but you have
Swing away.
cables running over that one, and it's going to be annoying to get it out.
Well, you don't have to sit. You could stand for the rest of the podcast.
You already yelled at Brian for that.
Or you could actually, after you hit Nathan with your chair, you could take Nathan's chair.
That's fair. I'll be unconscious.
Yeah.
Or you can use my unconscious body as a chair.
Yeah.
That sounds like work.
That's fair. So anyway, I recommend RRR.
Are you a pirate?
RRR.
With one of the biggest movies of last year, made
I know.
$100 billion.
And that's my specific, and then I'm recommending Bollywood movies in general. But RRR is a good gateway one because it's on Netflix. It's a blisteringly fast 3 hours. Bollywood does love their long films. But part of the reason they're long...
Is it a Bollywood musical?
Every Bollywood movie is a musical. So this is an action movie, which is about there were 2 Indian revolutionaries in the 1920s, very famous revolutionaries, and somebody was like, what if they met previously and had wacky adventure together? And so this movie is that theoretical stuff. It's like if somebody made a movie about Jefferson and Washington fighting a dragon in 1750. So that's basically what RRR is.
Like
It's
Abe Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
Sure. right? but it has to be two people and have them meet earlier. That's why I go with the Jefferson Washington thing. But it could be Lincoln and Grant, sure. But
or you could have wacky hijinks with Grant and
yeah,
and fuck, I can't think of his name.
Because he's
Because
terrible.
I'm from the north, that's why.
yeah. Well, I either you were going to say like opposites, like an Odd Couple thing where it's Grant and Lee.
Yeah,
like
that's what I was
having
saying.
adventures together, like the Odd
Yeah,
Couple.
that's what I was saying. Yes,
but you could definitely.
But I'm from the north. I couldn't think of the
You could do a Clone High thing where you have like references to them, and so like Sherman can be there, and he's just always like lighting matches because he's just obsessed with it and whatnot.
It's like a high school drama.
Yeah. God, Clone High's so good. Fuck it, that's my new recommendation is Clone High. Where is it going? Oh, but anyway, but the movie, it's fun and it's got action and the cinematography is shockingly good. There's so many shots in that I'm like, this is beautiful. Like they know what they're doing. And yeah, dance numbers. There's like 4 or 5 dance numbers because of course there's going to be dance numbers. And I am not being sarcastic when I say you need more dance numbers in Hollywood films. Every MCU movie would have been better if some subsection of the Avengers stopped and had a 5-minute dance sequence.
I mean, I would actually watch an Avengers musical.
Umbrella
So better.
Have you seen
Yes!
Umbrella Academy? The first episode of this new season.
Yes!
2 minutes in, they bring in a dance number.
And it's amazing!
Yeah.
That's why I'm so angry at Joker 2, because there should be more musicals, but that movie should not.
Just yeah, but it's great because it's fun. It breaks up the action. It breaks up the drama. You get it's like a refresher, like a between course mint during a meal. And the movie knows like you're not there for realism, so it can throw it out the window when it needs to get the plot moving. Like, there's a part in this where somebody's legs have been really traumatized, so they have an action scene where one of the characters is riding piggyback on the other character's back because his legs don't work. So he's punching people from 10 feet up in the air while the other guy's doing flying kicks while holding the other guy in his shoulder. The guy on the back is shooting 2 guns, and he'll hold him down so the bottom guy will reload the guns for him so he can bring him up and shoot him.
Phenomenal.
It's fucking phenomenal. And then when that scene's over, they just put some goo on his knees, and now his knees are perfect. So he can kung fu fight for the next action sequence because you've had the leg sequence. Now he just needs to be good for the next sequence.
You some dance sequence.
Yeah, and as if you were, I don't give a shit. We had his legs hurt. Now his legs are fine. They understand it. And this, RRR is not the best Bollywood film I've ever seen, but it's a great example of how good Bollywood films are. I unironically love them.
There's a lot of people throwing tigers at people.
Yes, there is definitely people throwing tigers at other people.
I mean, weaponized tigers is like
And
my
not
favorite
just
thing.
tigers. One of the characters is fighting with some dude, and he grabs the dude's arm, and he slams it down on a passing deer's antlers. Just, boom, this is going through your arm now. Deal with it as part of the fight scene.
They're using animals as assistants constantly. There's always animals.
There is a big sequence where it's like is the horse prepared in 302? Except instead of a horse, it's like a zoo. They're like, we're ready for this scene. I've brought an angry zoo.
God.
Yeah, and that's amazing. Yeah,
They are so. Did you watch it, or have you just seen the thing?
I know a lot about
Yeah.
it. I've seen a lot of things for it. It's one of those shows I will watch, and I do like Bollywood. I like because it's cheery and it's fun.
It is.
Any movie is better with a dance number. Maybe not Schindler's List. There's always an exception to the rule. Maybe that one was probably good without it.
Or like
but,
Memento.
No, that would still have been better, I think. But yeah, I think
Because he wouldn't remember the moves.
Yeah, exactly.
Just
Actually, that'd
awkwardly
be a good way
going.
of
Yeah.
Would you just be awkwardly going?
But
like,
it would be
trying to
backwards because
match
he'd be.
everyone else?
Would he be? Since the movie's in reverse, from our point of view, he would be remembering the moves. So at the first scene, he wouldn't know what he's doing, but then the next scene, he'd know the moves to the dance sequence. That would have been great. Memento needed a dance sequence. Shit, that would have been amazing.
Yeah, Memento is phenomenal. But yeah, no, everything would be better with the dance movie practically.
Yeah.
99% of film would be better, and TV shows.
Yeah, because they're fun.
I mean, yeah, like the whole. How many times have you watched the intro to Peacemaker?
Sure, yeah. Or just think about Disney movies, right? Like, you can take these scenes and make them into dance sequences. Like if you made just a Marvel movie where someone's coming into town, they just come into town and go, "There's that guy," and he can be garishly dressed, and you can make snarky comments.
We got the Captain America musical in Hawkeye. And
Sure.
Yeah. Even when they ended it, that whole sequence was just the musical sequence they put on there. People love that.
People love it. I just think
Zemo dancing.
Zemo dancing's great, and you can do that because you think about like Aladdin and the Never Had a Friend Like Me and Prince Ali and like all these songs. They're great, and it's not like you as a viewer like it doesn't make sense that they're singing and dancing. It's fun. Fuck you.
Well, and
Aladdin
it's not like
was
we've already
good.
not suspended reality
Yeah.
for this. It's like this is the most realistic part of this movie is 3 people randomly broke into song.
Why didn't Thanos have a villain song where he and Ebony Maw and Proxima Midnight and Corvus Glaive and not Black Dwarf, Cole Obsidian was the name of that. They all could have danced along while he's saying his villain song about snapping.
And my
It
brain
would have been
went numb.
amazing.
And my brain just went numb on his name, but the actor would have probably done that in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah, absolutely, he would have fucking done that.
They could have had him sitting at his log cabin out by the lake, just slowly have a nice slow
like
song through there.
Yeah, like his lament about like
Yeah.
what does he do now that it's
Yeah.
all over with. Yes. Why don't you have a buddy song with Rocket and Groot singing together?
The lyrics won't make sense.
It would be fucking phenomenal. Rocket does his half, and it cuts over to "I am Groot," and then it cuts back to Rocket sings a bunch.
They added some music to the Christmas special. That was
Yes.
great. You need more. You need more music. Yeah.
Again, Bollywood, amazing.
And some
RRR, a
comedies
great
do
one.
occasionally throw music dances in there, and it's always phenomenal.
It's always phenomenal.
She's All That, the choreographed high school dance in that movie is brilliant. I remember laughing my ass off in like glee of the stupidity of it.
Hot Rod,
Yeah, Hot Rod.
Hot Rod, the choreographed mob scene.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yep, that is a yep.
Things just got out of hand.
Yeah, things just got out of hand. Comedies have always taken advantage. Comedies have learned that. We just think that had some like action adventures. So,
Somebody mentioned about Vin Diesel singing, but if Vin Diesel could carry a note, he could do
Or
it.
not, who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah. There are times where that works.
to go off topic, when the Rock got all like uppity and was like, you know, when I'm leaving the Fast Furious and Vin Diesel's a bitch, this whole last year has been like everyone kind of turning on the Rock and like kind of like becoming. It's like now people are liking Vin Diesel getting a bit better, and like it's all fuck the Rock. It's just been an interesting transition. Sorry.
Well, I mean, when you put out schlock, I mean it's. I slightly feel bad because he's always wanted to do this character, and with Black Adam, and Black Adam just failed miserably.
Well, I mean, he might have always wanted to do it, but he should have had someone make sure the movie was actually enjoyable.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
He could have added that little extra
It'd
element.
be like it's kind of like Ryan Reynolds finally getting to play Deadpool in X-Men Origins Wolverine.
That is an amazing comparison. Yeah.
Sorry,
God, there's so many good. There's so many potentially good things. We've talked about this so many times. Good things in X-Men Origins Wolverine, and so many bad things.
I don't know that there's that many good things. There's like the opening sequence, like
The casting.
It's
I think the
sure,
casting
yeah, it's
is-
very
is-
front loaded, but
is-
yes, the
is
casting
good.
could have been, but yeah.
I mean, everything. Basically, every bit of dialogue that happens between Liev Schreiber and Hugh Jackman it's fucking awesome. They're perfect as Wolverine and Sabretooth.
Every bit of dialogue that Ryan Reynolds has is pretty good too.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean,
hell.
yeah. I mean, there's parts of that film that are really good, and a lot of it is really bad.
But anyway, that's my recommendation. Is Bollywood in general, but specifically as a gateway drug, and it's not like it's a bad one either. Is go check out RRR on Netflix. I will say it threw me for a little bit. Raylene and I watched it, and she put on English dubs, and there's a romance sequence in as well, and part of the romance awkwardness is that the character is Indian and not bilingual, and the love interest is English. So a whole part of it is that he's trying to understand English, but when you have a dub and they're both speaking English, it's a little weird. She's like, "Hello, my name's Jenny." He's like, "Oh, I didn't understand. What's your name?" It's like, you just said that in English, motherfucker. So, depending on how you are with subtitles, keep it in Hindi. Otherwise, just be aware that your brain's going to have to work a little extra for that plot line. Also, I was joking with Raylene that, a drawback of that is that they didn't have the English be monstrous enough for the Indians. Like, the first thing that happens is that they steal a woman's baby as, like, a trophy and then murder the lady and steal her child. It's like, they needed to make the English worse to be more accurate to the turn of the century imperialism. Like one of the running things is kind of like the moving the coin coming back with X-Men Origins First Class. The villain keeps having his people. He'll have like an Indian that they're going to execute for whatever reason, and his people will go to like shoot him, and he's like, "No, your bullet's worth more than his life," because he's just a dirty Indian. So again, you know, they didn't quite make the British bad enough, but they tried. I told Raylene, watching British soldiers get murdered by Indians made me the happiest I'd been since watching French fur trappers get murdered by the Predator.
All right, who else has a recommendation? I'm holding off on mine.
I'm not sure. I've got kind of a twofold too. It's just been a series that we've been watching, and I recommend watching them together in tandem because it'll help not wet the palate, but what's a term?
Cleanse the palate?
Cleanse the palate. Yes. HBO's got a show called Succession. It's on the 3rd season. We're about midway through the 3rd season, and the show that we paired that with was Ted Lasso. So two opposite ends of the spectrum. Very good and wholesome TV show, which was Ted Lasso. That's only available on Apple Plus. I think I may have recommended that before, but
We have all. I think what we've had. Ted Lasso's been recommended a few times.
such an amazingly good, wholesome show. The show that you'll be on the floor laughing and then tearing up because of just something emotional that happens in the show. You contrast that with Succession, which is just really, really, really shitty rich people being really, really, really shitty to each other and everyone else, and it's really well written.
So you could have just said it's about rich people.
Yeah, yeah, man, it's really good. Like whoever wrote it, and I haven't even ever looked it up, but they must have had some kind of experience up there because it's written really well. And if you're paying attention to the WWE, that's happening right now. The whole plot of Succession is happening to WWE, pretty much. Sadly.
Speaking of rich people being terrible, good old Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
What do you got for us, Dan?
So my recommendation's in a slightly different vein, but please do not watch Velma.
I watched half of the first episode and I was like, I'm out.
Speaking of being on the same side as shitty people, because I guarantee that shitty people are against it just because Mindy Kaling is Asian, but the show's terrible enough to justify all the hate.
The best review I saw of it is the stereotype of a conservative writing what they think the stereotype of a liberal would agree with.
That is probably the most accurate. Yes, that is. But again, I don't think because it's bad, but they're going to jump on it for the.
Well, and it's one of those things where, like, it's so bad that it's not even worth watching. Ironically, because that unfortunately will still drive the view count up.
Yeah.
No,
it just needs to end.
Yeah, that's the one thing HBO Max could get rid of immediately. People would be like, "Thank you."
Yes.
Yeah.
You're doing a lot of questionable things, but that was a very.
It has been a long time since I've seen something that's deserved a single-digit Rotten Tomatoes score.
I mean, along the lines of the review you're talking about is that like somebody in our Discord was talking about like the conspiracy theory that Mindy Kaling is actually a conservative and she did this to make liberals look bad.
Yeah.
That would be more believable than them trying to make that to be interesting and good.
Yeah,
because it is.
Well, are you okay? So you've got a son. Does
I do?
Me?
Oh, him.
Dan, your kids are way too old. All your stepkids are too old for the.
Yeah.
For that.
I'm afraid of what you're about to ask now.
No, I was just curious. Is would he be the target audience? As somebody that's really small, or not small, but young for that show.
No,
Unless
it's
he's
for
into
adults.
like
it is for adults?
Yeah.
No, it is for adults. This is like
in the first
saw...
10 minutes, there's a scene where Velma walks in on a naked Daphne showering and beats her with a rusty pipe.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it is for adults. It's
like the Harley Quinn thing.
It is beyond. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's like somebody saw Harley Quinn and said, this edginess, we need to crank it up to 1,000 and put it over Scooby-Doo and take away all of the actual humor or cleverness.
And Scooby-Doo.
And Scooby-Doo. And make it.
Oh, that sounds horrible.
Yes.
I thought it was just a bad cartoon for kids.
No, it is a bad cartoon for adults.
It's a bad cartoon.
Yeah, Daphne like sells drugs. Fred has got a small penis that everybody makes fun of.
And that's an exact quote.
Oh my god, this sounds horrible.
Yeah, the first scene is 15-year-old girls fighting naked with rusty pipes because...
And even that's all dumb, but it's so much worse when you watch it all wrapped together. It's just...
Yeah, somehow it's executed worse than it sounds.
I thought it was... I honestly thought it was just like a story time with Velma. Velma would be doing her own thing. It would just be...
My poor sweet summer child.
Oh my god.
No, the 4 Kids Scooby-Doo was the one murdered by HBO after it was already done. This is what they're releasing instead.
Oh my god.
Yeah, the 4 Children Scooby-Doo was going to come out along the same time as, like, Batwoman.
Like fucking Muppet Babies, Scooby-Doo?
Well, that was Pup Named Scooby-Doo, which was great.
Well, yeah.
And it had Red Herring as a recurring character. No, it was some movie that they were going to release. That may or may not have been a
thought it
holiday
was in a
special.
series, but yeah.
Maybe it was a full series, or
Yeah.
maybe it was like one of those like pilots that's a movie that's going to launch. I don't remember, but it was like
someone
done.
going to be able to take over... When this whole thing falls apart, and maybe someone takes over because they lost the profit, and someone else comes in, and they go, well, maybe if we release it now, we can like reverse it and make short-term profits. But are they going to be able to pull this out? Like, do you think it's somebody? You think they could somehow get it out in the future?
problem
I have
is,
heard
though,
that they're actually scrubbing hard drives on some of this stuff at Discovery.
the sad part is though is if they're getting rid of shit for tax write-offs,
It has to be gone.
it has to be gone, unfortunately, and that's why we'll never see Megas XLR put on like Blu-ray or DVD or anything like that. We'll never. It's only available on the Apple fucking store.
I need more Michael Keaton as Batman. Anyway, sorry.
No,
Good.
all versions of that are gone.
Wow.
Because Flashpoint's not going to get released.
Yeah.
I mean, watch, they probably will release that.
All right, so what do you got, Brian?
Yeah,
I
sorry.
have 2 recommendations. The first is a video game. In December, I spent about 90 hours playing Marvel Midnight Suns. It's a mix of XCOM and Fire Emblem's Three Houses. There's a lot of social elements. You make a unique character, and then you basically hang out with who are a lot of the original Midnight Suns, not all of them, from the Marvel world, and you get about 6 or 7 Avengers, and you're all hanging out trying to save the world. And it's turn-based. Mostly you use cards instead of picking things, but you customize everything so well that you typically have full control over what you're going to do. The combat's very rewarding. Some of the craziest that happens in the game is rewarding. The story's pretty decent. The story's not... I mean, the story, it's, and then the relationship stuff is kind of obnoxious. But, I mean, if you like that Fire Emblem's Three House things, like, you're there for this nonsense. You're there for the Blade starting a book club because he has a crush on...
Does it have XCOM-style RNG?
Not really.
Okay.
I mean,
So I'm not going to randomly just need to walk away from it before I break my computer because I missed a 95% shot?
Yeah,
95% shot.
there are a couple percentage things, but it's not normally to hit.
It's not
You
XCOM.
heal,
Yeah.
you do something. There's like a percentage.
Sure.
There is a couple. Yeah, there's a couple percentage things, but it's not everything in the
Yep.
game. The way you level up characters and you get your characters more power is kind of cool. So that's a lot of fun. The combat's great. The battlefields are small enough to where you don't do it's not like you're not allowed to positioning and attack, and there is positioning that matters, and there is a little bit of moving, but mostly on any turn anyone can attack anyone. So it's a small enough field because they don't really want to have your characters move. It would feel weird for a superhero to only be able to move 4 hexes and not attack or whatever. So you have kind of more freedom. But all the special attacks, when like Ghost Rider summons his car and he runs people over, is hilarious, and just some of the nonsense you can do in that game. And watching Captain Marvel go by an area and blast a photon beam against like just a small Hydra scrub is just kind of funny to watch, just like murder happen. But it's a pretty awesome game. I mean, I put, like I said, 90 to 100 hours into that game. It's a good mix, but it does have a lot of social elements, and some people didn't like that. But I played the fuck out of Fire Emblem Three Houses, so for me, it was right up my alley. It's not as in depth like in those kind of games. Like you care about everyone's relationship with everyone else. In this game, it's just your character builds relationships with other people. But then as your friendship meters go up, you unlock better abilities and you can get better percentages on things. And
Sure.
it matters that way. But it's fun. I guess I put Magic is a cool character. Is what I want to say about that. So that's my video game recommendation. And then I had a TV show recommendation, but I think I forgot what it was. I watched something recently. It was pretty cool. That's my TV show recommendation.
For a small added fee, Brian will add this to the Discord
Yeah,
later.
exactly.
Was it Willow?
No, it
Should
wasn't
I just
Will.
start listing TV shows that it might have been?
No, what did I watch recently? I don't
You
even know
old
what it
horses. Slow horses.
No, I mean I did like
Goodbye,
slow
horses?
horses, but it wasn't what I was gonna.
Would
I
you
mean,
fuck me?
I think I recommended Andor last time. It wasn't Andor. Oh, I know it wasn't. I recommend. I'm gonna recommend some horror movies. HBO.
Oh, that TV show.
Yeah, the movies. HBO Max. You can watch a show called Barbarian. Justin Long and some other actresses are in there. It's great. It's a simple horror.
Justin Long and some other actresses.
I know, it's terrible. I can't think of their names. I was just being
I was just
absurd.
thinking, the implication that Justin Long is an actress.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's kind of... Anyway.
Also, I think there might only... No, there's some random
Yeah,
people.
exactly.
It's mostly
It's-
actors.
It's a very good movie, and it's actually got some pretty great humor in it, but it's good. And it's free on HBO Max for those who have HBO Max. That's why I mentioned it. And the other one is on...
Before we move off
Soon.
Barbarian, I will mention something I like about Barbarian is that along with Jordan Peele's work, it shows that sometimes the best horror is done by people who know comedy, because both of them, it's about subverting expectations and surprise timing. Whether it be a pie in the face or an axe to the head, you need to build up one expectation then hit with the other. And Barbarian was written and directed by one of the whitest kids you know. That's it.
Yeah. It's just...
Thought I'd share that.
It's a great... And it's got a Skarsgård in it.
It does have a Skarsgård.
Any movie with a Skarsgård
pretty
in it
creepy in it.
also goes up a few notches. That's just a default. You should have like a Skarsgård count in movies. Like,
Speaking of which, we have, 9 months till Dune?
Yeah, which annoyingly doesn't have this same Skarsgård, even though he could have played his real-life uncle's nephew and would have been perfect for the role regardless of that fact. How the fuck you don't cast Bill Skarsgård as Feyd-Rautha, I don't know.
maybe he was busy making the movie. But so that's my HBO Max horror movie recommendation. My Amazon recommendation that's on Amazon Prime. So again, free for Amazon Prime is Black Phone. It's a different style. It's to me, of the two movies, Black Phone is a much lighter horror movie. It's more about like suspense. There's like a guy who traps kids, and like it's more about like this guy hunting children, which is it's more of a horror because that's scary. And there are a few supernatural elements to the movie, but it's just Ethan Hawke plays a really creepy fucking bad guy in it, so that's really good. And then you have to get Shudder so you can watch Housebound, an Australian horror movie from like 8 years ago. Nathan will back me up. That's another comedy horror. It's way more horror, but they know how to use comedy and some really good light elements in it. But it's about a girl who is basically under house arrest, and shit starts going wrong in the house. But she's wearing like a bracelet. She can't like leave her property. And
which is a great way to get around the why don't you just leave the spooky house?
Yeah, because I'll go to prison. She'll go to prison,
and maybe that's worth it. But
and I will always recommend any kind of Australian horror because they just New Zealand,
Yeah.
even New Zealand's even better because
Housebound was New Zealand.
You're right. And there's just a bit of a flair to. They approach every cult, it's different. So get Shudder. That's what we have to pay for. You get 7 days free trial on Shudder. Watch Housebound, then go watch Black Phone and go watch. You can watch those three in any order you want, but you will enjoy all of them. Even Housebound is kind of light horror because some people don't want to be too scary. I would say Barbarians are the higher on the like horror movie scale of the three,
and definitely on the like disturbing stuff. Like none of them are super like gore heavy in like a hostile style thing. But Barbarian is the one that it might be the most like.
Yeah, I don't like the hostile type stuff in general.
The other thing I will say to build on Housebound is that the director of Housebound is the director of what I know already Brian and I will be fighting over recommending next time, which is the director of Housebound is director of a small little film you might have heard of recently called Megan.
Which we have tickets for tomorrow.
We have tickets for tomorrow. I am very looking forward to seeing Megan.
Shit, I forgot about that.
You're going.
The movie's going to be great. I enjoy 100% of the movies I've seen by this director, i.e. Housebound is great. And I love 100% of the movies written by the screenwriter, i.e. Malignant is great. So the screenwriter and the director both have a 100% success rate in my history. And as far as the screenwriter, it's literally the only thing they've ever written. So it's not just that I haven't seen their other stuff. Malignant is a fucking delight, and I will defend it to everyone. Malignant is my Speed Racer. The way that you guys will recommend Speed Racer and people don't believe and you say, fuck you, we're sitting down and watching this, that's how I am with Malignant. I'm like, you sit down.
You have to buy the first 2 minutes of Malignant. You're like, I don't know about this, and then it gets you got about a 2-minute like test to get through.
Yeah,
and it's not that it's bad first 2 minutes, but the vibes of the first 2 minutes are like, and then it's great.
Yeah.
When are we renting the theater? When are we going to do this?
To watch Malignant
And Speed Racer.
just as a double whammy.
We're the only ones so far for Megan tomorrow. I mean, I will say Megan's going to be still the best. We're going in the afternoon on a Monday, so we're trying to like purposely have less people around us.
Yeah.
Yeah, Speed Racer's great. Our audience agrees.
Yeah.
God, fucking hell! The last act of Malignant. There's a moment where that movie says, "Buckle up."
Yeah.
Like they might as well have literally paused the film and just came out and
You
said,
broke the fourth wall.
Listen.
Just like have Hulk Hogan come out and
"Go to
tell
the
us-
bathroom, go get your popcorn, sit down. This shit's happening."
Yeah.
It's basically a dance number.
Can I?
It's basically, it really is. It really is. Like the only thing it was missing was singing for that whole sequence.
Could I have Hulk Hogan come out and tell me, like in the Gremlins 2?
Some people might not appreciate it, but if you can appreciate what happens in that movie when it turns, it's a fucking ride.
It is a fucking ride. It is. I was hooting like the monkeys at the Monolith. I was so excited about what was going on.
Yeah.
Zappity.
Grumble. Yay.
Tune in next time for the Crippled System Horror Musical.
Yeah.
Well, we could just always record something tomorrow, too.
There are zombie musical movies that are out. There are some.
Anniversary of the Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Right.
I just want to hear Brian's song about why Jason is right.
Jesus is right.
All right. We've been recording for over 2 hours, so... and I gotta go turn on the heat
happy
because
belated
everyone's
Friday the
freezing.
13th.
Turn the heat on. We have to watch less of it.
It is interesting that there are not one but two Friday the 13th movies that don't have Jason as the killer. And people forget that. That's all.
Goodbye.
Bye.
There's some guy named Dan.
Nope.
Is it Dan?
Nope.
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 What?
His name's not Dan. There's a Pamela and a Roy.
Is it? Oh, it's Roy. Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't say Dan.
Roy Burns. Anyway, bye everybody.
Next to you
Yeah.
is this guy.